All right, it's time for that super duper SpaceBro Show. That's right, the #1 Friday night talk show that talks all about Star Citizen each and every week. With tonight's guest, the amazing Scorpion, Mr. Sergeant Tickles. And of course, you know him, you love him, Snake Eater.
What's up, dudes?
There you go. And of course, I am Mitachi, and we are here to do the show that you love to know each and every Friday. Here we go.
That SpaceBro Show.
SpaceBro Show. What's up, guys? How's everybody doing? I, of course, as always, I'm going to work on Mr. Tickles' green screen while we're doing this. Something in slobs. Since I changed the slobs, I try to pre-cue it, and I can't do it.
Why does Scorpion bring his own CGI background?
Because he's super fly, dude.
It's just
Tickles has got a background. You don't have to worry about it.
Tickles could put something up.
I have a background.
He's got a
I
background.
have a giant. Never mind. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm just using the OBS virtual cam.
We don't even know what you put up back there in your non-streaming hours, Tickles.
It's actually just a giant face of you.
Superimposed.
Looking dude. Once you get that beard going, oh yeah.
It's almost that time of year.
It is.
Let's see here. I'll work on it. I don't know. If you want to put your own up, you can, but otherwise I'll work on it between discussionary topics as always. Anyway, we've had another full-fledged week of waiting on the next patch to come out, so we can be anticipating. There's been some cool stuff that's been shown to us, though, through amazing Star Citizen interwebs. It's still all about the caves. I think we talked about the caves last week, too. Right? They've been stretching out the cave.
I think so.
Thing.
Yeah, they've been getting every penny out of the caves.
They're milking the caves. But that's good, though. The caves are going to be cool. I'm just kind of feel like they're going to be as cool as not as cool as the 890, but they're going to be about as long-lived as the 890.
Maybe.
I think that's probably true.
It depends on what type of content they'll either put into the caves or what we can create. But
I mean, it's always the danger of, in a game you have to set a stage.
Yes, absolutely.
But a stage with no content is still just a stage. So
yeah,
Absolutely.
I was surprised. I actually saw an 890 jump leaving Lorville today, and that was kind of surprising because I hadn't seen one in a little while. Of course, I haven't played all week, but I kind of figured that they were kind of dropping off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, that's also because you had the 890 for the first week or whatever if you were a second tier backer, unless you already owned it. And I think that's the other reason you see them dropping off is because a lot of people just don't own the ship, and it's not like it's a loaner for a more common ship or anything.
Well, I tell you, I don't take mine out because you can't fly but 10 fucking minutes with it without running out of gas. So
right, that's true. It does eat fuel.
It's so bizarre. You wouldn't believe. It's still bizarre to me.
They NDA. Apparently that's in the patch notes.
Yeah. I think they mentioned that. They mentioned something about they're working on that aspect, but I don't know. Again, you would think something that big would eat fuel, but do you think that the fuel capacity should be increased or something? Some sort of balancing needs to happen there so that way you can actually use it.
I don't think you would. I mean, if it mirrors real life, how often do ships at sea that aren't nuclear refueling?
Well, and that's what I'm saying though. But I bet ships at sea that aren't nuclear use a shit ton of fuel though. They do,
but they carry a shit
ton
of
fuel. That's what I'm
fuel.
saying. I think they just need capacity increase.
You should be commensurate with like its sheer size. It should have sheerly huge fuel tanks if that's what it uses. I was saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It should not need to refuel for. You should be able to fly it literally all day. Like I'm talking real life, like 12 hours without having to refuel the thing.
Oh, yeah, I think you should fly it for months without having to refuel it. More, I mean, probably. The 600i is renowned for its origin signature fuel efficiency and ability to re-scoop fuel better than any other manufacturer. So if that were to scale, the 890 jump should be able to stay out for months on end without refueling.
Yeah. Well, I said that. Oh, sorry. I was just say having to refuel very often puts your ship at risk and you at risk, right? Because basically anybody has to just wait you out until you have to go get fuel somewhere, and then you're cooked, right? So yeah, it's an issue.
I said that on my ship. Yeah, it is. I'm pretty sure. I said that on my stream the other night. I was like, this thing should have the best of everything. This is the fucking premier technology. Yeah. It should have the best, most fuel efficient engines. It should have the best this, that, and the other. That's what it's designed for, right? That's what it is.
Can you imagine going onto a yacht that you could only stay on for 15 minutes?
Well, that party
shortest parties ever.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you can pass anything but a gas station.
But they use the best wood, though. The best wood on the floors.
True.
Best wood ever.
Best wood ever.
It's all about that good wood.
Succulent.
High quality.
Sometimes it is.
Mahogany.
Right on. Well, we'll dive more into that and more. Let's go ahead before I get too far off track, and we'll go around the room and see how everybody's week's been and what they have planned for. Well, not what they planned, what they've already done over this past week. So we'll start out with Mr. Scorpion. We know you've had a light week of streaming because you've been working your butt off. So we'll start out with you.
Yeah, I was on a business trip all week. Pretty much went there Monday, just got back this afternoon. West Coast, so I had the time difference and sleeping in a shitty hotel room and not sleeping well and all that stuff. And so glad I'm back and hitting the ground running again. So we'll get back into it. But yeah, it's just been a long week, but otherwise very good though. Good.
Mr. Tickles, how about you?
I've just been working between WoW Classic and Star Citizen. Other than that, yeah, I got stung in the head by a fucking hornet.
Oh,
that sucked.
I
ran over a ground hornet nest with my mower, and I didn't know about it obviously until after the fact.
Yeah.
And then I went out and proceeded to get sweet revenge. Killed their whole colony,
Yeah.
Then,
it's like, you hurt me or my friends, I will destroy your entire family.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
caused
crazy.
me some mild inconvenient pain.
Yeah.
Genocide.
Dude, right here on the fucking back of my noggin, I had a giant goose egg. Dude.
Oh, that sucks.
It was a pain in the ass. Well, the head actually, but yeah. Other than that, like I said, just been streaming WoW and WoW Classic and Star Citizen, and then that's it, dude. Literally nothing. Since last week, nothing has changed.
Since last week, nothing has changed. Staying busy.
So, yep.
Yeah, cool. Snake Eater, how about you, buddy? What's your week been like?
Busy. People who have frequented my channel may notice a difference in the backdrop. I'm selling my house and moving closer to the city, and so I've had to everything's cleaned, and I've torn all the studio stuff down to like a minimalist desk essentially, and it's actually where the GoXLR shines. I can not have all the mixer and all that stuff set up, but it's basically been dominating my week
setup.
Yeah, it's there's really nothing else in this room.
I thought maybe you're doing house raids.
The chairs back there, yeah, and this desk right here, but there's about to be a whole lot less if my house sells soon. But yeah, other than that, been playing WoW Classic. Got big onto Borderlands 3 because love me some Borderlands, and tracking Star Citizen news.
I'm just having too much fun with Tickles. Chroma key right now.
What are you doing to me? I am the Almighty.
He is space.
I am one with the universe.
No, this is I
like my space beard, dude.
I do. The space beard was awesome. No, I'll tell you right now, the chroma key for slobs is sucking balls. So because I'm doing step up, it goes like no chroma key, no chroma key.
Yes.
Oh yeah, there goes his face. I'm like, well.
Yeah, you have to tweak it just right.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Like XSplit is so on point with that. This is not. Here we go. We're We're gonna go full space beard.
Yes,
that's good.
That's going to be a floating
like
head
those,
for the
those
rest of the show.
90s physics videos where it's like,
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
It's pretty good.
That's good. This I've never looked better. So thank you.
Well, you might just have to throw your own background on there for now.
How do I put my own background on there?
Well, that's a good question.
Are you using OBS Studio?
No, I'm just going through Zoom.
So what you could do is you could use OBS Studio and install the virtual cam plugin, and then basically it'll treat your OBS output as the camera, and then you can set up a scene where you put your background on. That's what
sounds like something that's not going to happen tonight.
Yeah, that's not
it's more than like a 30-second thing.
And the universe asks, the universe shall receive.
It's a Tickles.
So crazy, man.
Tickles' head. Forcing you to.
This would be perfect if the top of the screen wasn't still green.
I know, right? It's like it's so weird. It's like stepping up, and it's because you have with your lighting, you have color gradation between the top brightness and the bottom. So it's like queuing out the bottom, fine, but then the top's like, nope, sorry.
Oh, here we go. I'll completely fuck with it and turn my lights off.
I like Space Beard.
Space Beard. Space Beard is good though, because he's got this whole like omnipotent type thing going on. Like,
yeah, you like it.
I am Tickles. You know, it's like I will destroy you.
Celestial being. Celestial Tickles.
I gotta turn my lights back on.
Yeah, you gotta have some lights. Anyway, so we'll fiddle with that more as the show goes on. Anyway, so let's jump over and we'll look at the Inside Star Citizen video, which I thought was pretty good this week. What do you guys think about Inside Star Citizen? I know it was more cave stuff, but what we saw I thought was even better.
It was cool, but I kind of thought it was kind of
snory sleepy on.
It was short. It was short, and what they showed was good, but it was short. And again, it was the cave stuff, you know, even more. But it was good. I mean, it was actually nice to see how they've made the multi-tool usable, where you can actually get like a mining attachment for it and actually do mining stuff. And so that stuff was pretty cool, I thought. And that's going a good direction. But other than that, though, yeah, it was just more cave stuff. It was good.
Yeah, I thought one of the things I saw about it, and I'm currently fixing that too on the air screen. One of the things I noticed about it was I think they went a little more in depth, but I think that again, like you said, it's pretty cookie cutter, but at the same time, I think this is what the type of content we'll be getting now until CitizenCon. I don't think they're gonna be stepping up with any.
Yeah, there's no mind blowing shit coming out between now and then.
I feel
like so many things with Star Citizen, you know, it just depends on the prism through which you view it. On one hand, they make cave look freaking cinematic and amazing, and like can't wait to like do activities in them.
Oh yes.
But on the other hand, occasionally I do wonder how certain mechanics in the game get like green lit up to the level of priority that put them in right now, like shooting at rocks with a mining laser in your hand. Like they were like, we need players to be able to do this now over all these other things, because I mean it's important to do. I don't know what, if maybe it's for Squadron 42, I don't know, but it seems like sometimes a weird time to just put shooting at rocks in a cave, you know.
I talked about this a little tonight, man. I was like, what? We've had we were flying the Caterpillar, and I'm like, we've had the Caterpillar bugs, the same. Can't sit in any of the seats, can't play with any of the consoles, can't do anything if you're a passenger in the Caterpillar. And those bugs have been present forever, and it's a ship that a lot of people use.
Yeah.
But they just don't take the time to fix it. We get to point lasers at rocks now. So
yeah, and I know they're different teams, and you know, I think it just goes to show that it's a little bit of a contrast when maybe I'm more excited about the inventory system and the UI improvements than any, you know, mining lasers and stuff. And there's something for everybody in the game, so I'm sure there's people that are super stoked about it. But yeah, in general, it doesn't seem like, if I were objectively as an art director looking at things that are foundational to the game, I would have just probably not said mining mining rocks by hand is a foundational part of the game. But
no, I think, and this could just be me
or something, but
yeah, I think me inferring on this anyway. I feel like what's happened is we all know their environmental team who does a lot of the environmental artwork and all that stuff is amazing, right? They get all these areas done and they're cranking out because that's their main thing. Those guys are working on these environments and all. I believe what happened was they had caves done. And they're like, well, we put caves in. And they're Chris and Rose probably was like, well, that's cool. But what the hell are you going to do in them? Yeah, what are you going to do in them? We can put them in.
Do in the caves.
Yeah. So then they're like, well, why don't we go ahead and just shift and make sure we got this, individual mining, FPS mining, and which is weird. Anyway, first person mining is a weird name for this anyway. To me, the whole game's first person. I'm not third person prospecting.
It could also be TPS mining if you want. I mean,
well, and on top of it, is it even going to be profitable in any way, shape, or form? How profitable is it going to be for me to go poke a crystal and take it back?
If mining on a ship scale is not profitable, mining on a personal scale is not going to be profitable.
So again, yay, we could go in and poke rocks with lasers, but what's the fucking point?
Yeah.
I do try to look at these things from down the line perspective. If this is a pillar of one of the of things that need to happen either for Squadron 42 or for the game, but it does. It's a little underwhelming, and I think that what it does is kind of pokes at the heart of our fears that sometimes they chase after these fluttering whatevers that really are not a big priority in the grand scheme.
And I feel like they're also probably saving content for the big WoW for CitizenCon and for other patches and whatnot. They don't want to put something in now and then they're like, well, come CitizenCon drop, we have nothing, or what I mean, stuff like that.
Like a month early, and Disco said that, right? He said that they've had to withhold things because they're at a state of development that is kind of harder to drop jaws. I mean, it's like you've seen planets, you've seen cities now, you've seen trains, you've seen new ships. Ships are always a crowd favorite, but like it's kind of getting harder probably to like blow people's hair back,
So this whole cave mining, personal inventory, harvestables thing, it does actually bring a major piece of a piece we don't have in the game yet into it, right? Which is all these individual objects that you can interact with. You can hold them, you can store them, you can take them apart with a laser, you can all those things, right? Hold them in your hand. So that is something that they need to bring in at some point. I do agree though that this does kind of a little bit smell like, Chris sees someone doing the cave thing and says, "Oh, that's so cool. Let's put it in the game," right? Versus it being a well thought out thing that we actually need to have at this point. And I, for one, would love to see, and I've talked about this on my stream a lot, I would love to see them, certainly from a community standpoint, have some people that are focused on the things that we, the community, want to have in the game now, so we can actually spend time in this game, right? And have a reasonable time with it. And that, to me, doesn't mean we have to have like new whiz-bang things all the time. It just means we have to have a stable environment that we can do our things in, and that they bring some things and allow us to get in there and do multiplayer better and share rewards better and do those basic things better, right? So, I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but that's kind of my thought.
I agree, and I think it's necessary, and it's a stepping stone. That's all this is. It's literally a stepping stone. I will say, anytime we get to hear Dan Truffin talk,
that was the highlight of that for me, was seeing Dan Truffin. I was like, look, he's still there. It's awesome.
From one of the first times he originally talked about mining back in the day, when that man talks, you listen. He's one of those type of people. Yeah. Sometimes they have people on there like, oh, whatever. I've seen him before. He's okay. But when Dan talks, you're like, oh, what's up? What are we learning?
Yeah. Because he'll deep dive into aspects of different gameplay features that get us really excited too. Like just like he did with mining, just like he did with some of the criminality aspects. There's a lot of videos. And for those people that haven't followed the project consistently, or they're interested in a specific gameplay mechanic that's either currently in or, you know, soon to be in or whatever, if you can find a video in the Star Citizen library on Dan Truffin, usually he has great descriptions on that stuff.
Right.
So,
yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's probably just a platform to demonstrate the inventory and interaction mechanics. And I guess if I were really looking at all the other ways to do it, you can already pick up cups and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Would we rather run around picking fruit off of trees? It probably makes, it's probably the most, it's as dramatic as it's going to get to have to go use a mining laser or a utility laser that you can go buy, and is a thing that you hold in your hand, go into these new thing called, you know, caves, and use lasers compared to the other ways you could test out and demonstrate the new interactions and the new inventory. It's just, you know, a lackluster thing. But
yeah,
I completely agree. It's gonna be like the 890. We're all gonna ooh and ah over it, and then we're gonna be like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Back to Borderlands 3. Yeah.
There's two different aspects of this I took away that I was thinking about that wasn't necessarily related just to mining aspect, but some of the way they're working the inventory system, some of the way they're working the selection system. How do you guys feel like the wheel system, as I like to call it, you know, the inner thought, do you think that is going to translate well across all medium? Like, I accept it inside the spaceships, right? Like to select certain things and control and whatnot. But when I saw that implemented here in this mining aspect too, and I was just like, this is going to be like lame eventually. I don't want to select everything through the wheel system, everything I do, every type of material, every type of everything. It just didn't feel good to me. It's like, I don't know. I'll have to put my hands on it actually, but I'm just like, it seems weird.
Did you see the UI one that they did a while ago?
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think it was an ATV or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fucking show is. Inside Star Citizen.
Yeah, Inside Star Citizen, formerly known as ATV.
They could bend it and they could make it do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I hope it's not always a circle, or it's not always a semicircle, or it's not, you know, the UI, which someone said UI was a low priority today or something. And that kind of threw me off, but
yeah,
because we just had a show about
every
UI.
time we bitch about UI, they're like, you do that last in the development pipeline. You don't do UI first. It's like, okay.
Well, that's not true. When you're dealing with driven community feedback on game development, I think the UI, at least in my experience testing on other games, that's a huge question from developers. Like, how's the UI feel? How's this feel? Does that not feel? I mean, everything. I think any game I've tested,
agree.
That's 100%.
People interact with your game. So.
Yeah. If you could have an amazing in-depth game, and if the UI shit, people will give up on it pretty quick because it doesn't feel good. It feels clunky then.
Yeah, I mean, looking at specifically this Inside Star Citizen, right? When they were going to interact with all these different objects, rocks, fruit on trees, everything, and you had like this long list of like inner thought actions that you could do on these items. I mean, it came up in chat today too, right? Where it's like, if we're gonna have to do that for every single thing we interact with all the time, it is gonna get old really quick, and so they need to come up with a smart way of defaulting to actions, so you don't have to do the interaction tree every time. But if you want to, you can.
Yeah.
And so that, right, obviously, the thing I'm going to do most often is pick these things up, right? So maybe I hit F and it picks it up. And if I want to do more things, I do some other inner thought thing. But I think that's going to be an issue going forward. And I think we kind of already knew this, but to me, I think that video even highlighted it, because it's like over and over again, right? Where I have to like pick up this, bring this list up, and then pick a thing.
And
I feel the same way there. And can we not make macros or use other? Like, we have keyboard and mice, for Christ's sake. We have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Can we use this? Do I have to have this fucking thing take up my entire screen?
Let me keybind. Let me keybind.
Yeah, exactly. And that's 2 points I wanted to highlight. Like what Tickles was saying too, is like, does this have to be in the middle of my screen? Does this have to ruin everything I'm seeing? The whole screen is this big circle. And it, you know, if you play other games, like let's even console games, or even like anything with even a PC game that has just Xbox controller integration, it's just on the corner. I get a little highlight nudge if I bump up or bump down on the D-pad to do a hot selection. That's all this should be. This isn't a feature piece. This doesn't look sexy.
Just put it to the side. Counter to the whole. It seems counter to the whole idea of fidelity.
Yeah.
And all this fidelity and whiz bang graphics, and it's beautiful and all these things, and then we have this really clunky interface to kind of interact with these things. And I think that there's a little bit of a mismatch there. Yeah. And I think if they go back and actually work with people and figure out, like, how can we make something that's truly intuitive, right? Like, it makes some decisions for you, and or lets you map default actions, right? Like, maybe I get to say my default action when I hit F is I'm picking up the damn item, right?
Right.
And I can have other keybinds I can do for other key actions I'm going to do, and then if I use all those up, then the final thing is, just give me a damn wheel of all the things I can do, and I'll pick one. But that's going to happen very infrequently.
Yeah, I've got a couple of opinions on UI in general. One is, if everybody knows my opinion on segments of this game not needing to be literally invented, and UI is kind of one of them. There's many brilliant implementations of user interface across the gaming industry, and maybe you don't need to invent it. I mean, I think that like Escape from Tarkov, what you're talking about, Scorpion, Escape from Tarkov is a good example of one of the things that I've discovered when I played Escape from Tarkov is actually how little of the keyboard most games use. You can double tap keys, you can control tap, you can alt tap, you can use a button combination with your mouse, and that actually, like, I know it sounds obvious that you can quintuple the number of functions you can do really quickly, but the reality is that most developers don't trust players to feel comfortable memorizing all those combinations, so they just don't even give them the option to do that stuff.
Right.
And so Escape from Tarkov does have many different things you can do to give you more fidelity in that regard. I would also say I think that the pie menu or the wheel menu or whatever you want to call it can work. If you look at DCS's most recent F14 module, you interact with Jester with this brilliantly implemented wheel. I mean, it's very deep, and you can drill down into different menus. They just executed it really well. So I think it's possible to make a wheel menu go into a deep functionality like that, but they just seem like they're working so hard to give us like 8 squares in a wheel. And I know they're doing this procedural stuff and all that, but
the thing to me on the wheel thing, Snake, is the fact I'm not saying get rid of the wheel. I think the wheel's very useful. I think the inner thought's very useful. I just feel like they're trying to linchpin every function to it they can, and it's unnecessary. I think it needs to be a lot more broad strokes. I think we need some of the hotkey accessibility, like what Scorpion was talking about and stuff. But if like you play Borderlands, Snake, you can choose your special abilities to which to map them, right? Like you can drop them there. Right. That same thing I'm thinking about with some of this inner thought stuff. Like I should just be able to drop. Okay, if I always want my landing mode here and this stuff and all that. So if I want to play with the controller, great. I can just hit D-pad left, and I know that's going to drop this or right. And just simple functionality. Not, okay, you want to do hotkeys? All right, let's go into keybinds. And here is the 70-page article chart of keybinds. There needs to be some quick, basic functionalities like, oh shit, me and the guys are in a firefight. I needed to hotbar 4 things. And that can go on my inner thought wheel. And I could drop those on my inner thought real quick. And I got those 4 things, not 40 things, not submenus of submenus, not I have to hotkey 127 keys on my keyboard or whatever, it's like I just want some quick change things, and maybe we have 2 or 3 profiles. Make the UI friendly, take this wheel, slap it on the side of my screen instead of the middle of it. Let's make it a little more intuitive,
especially in combat. I mean, the game is already very deliberate. You have to have your avatar will go through an animation if you tell it to do something, and that's besides having to actually move into an inner thought moment, select an inner thought action, and then it does the animation. So I get it. People say it's supposed to be sim-like. It's not supposed to be crisp and fast moving like a Call of Duty type of a situation, and that's fine. But you still need to give us you know, the ability to speed it up a little bit. Like in a combat situation, you should be able to, like, again, Escape from Tarkov gives you the ability to completely reload a mag and keep your magazine, hot swap and drop your mag, or a couple other real quick functions without having to go into a menu. And that's, we need to be able to do that at least in certain situations, because it's already going to take a while to go through the animation.
Well, and if you look at, so I kind of in my mind kind of combine this with that beautiful 890 jump commercial, right, where you had like people in there like toasting and hanging out and partying and dancing. And one of the things that struck me was that we might see NPCs have that type of interaction, but we're not ever going to have those type of interactions because there's really no way for us to do that, right? So then you have this desire to have pretty complex but spontaneous and interesting human interaction in the game, right? Because we're going to be in there playing these people. But then you couple it with this really complex and weird inner thought thing where you have to like now go through like menus to figure out what you're going to do next, and like those two things don't jive. And so we need to find some way to allow us to interact kind of in a semi-normal-ish human way, without having to go through these clunky interfaces.
You can navigate a pie menu pretty quickly if you know it's set up. Like you can basically muscle memory through a pie menu very fast.
And that's what I'm saying. You need that customization on the pie menu though to be able to set it up the way you want to do that. Because I mean, we have how many emotes in the game right now? Like
a ton.
And maybe I want to have, maybe with my character, say I'm RPing, one of the things I use is a Stream Deck, because I can set up all these different emote functions on the Stream Deck. How cool would that be to have a pie chart like this? Again, not in the middle of your screen, so you can still interact, you know, but over on the side, and then you could kind of scroll through and hit like a wave or a greet or anything like that. And I can have that on my action bar for social, and maybe that's a social profile. If I'm an FPS, situation where I'm actually in a firefight, I have a quick profile. I hit like my number 3 key on my number pad, and then my pie wheel is now for FPS, and it has my 4 to 8 selections on the wheel there to quickly pie chart through. Things that I customize, rather than it just feels so clunky to go through and, go over to the left and then like, okay, now wait for this to come up. It's all in the middle of your screen. You can't see what's happening anymore. It's too much in my book.
Well, like I was saying earlier, man, we saw the semicircle. They can make it whatever shape they want.
Yeah.
Why has it got to be a whole fucking circle? Make a semicircle off to the side.
I think
you can have the same information in it.
I think that's the good part of it, is that they've highlighted that there's one of the reasons they're taking a long time with it is because they've turned it into a highly adjustable tool for the developers, if nobody else. And I think that's great. I just think that this patch specifically highlights the sort of juxtaposed approach that we get from CIG. A lot of times we see something that's phenomenally cool, like cave tech, and looks amazing, and you can see applications for it, and you're glad that they've done it. And it seems like they're vaulting forward, at least, in certain areas. And then you get a circle menu that's barely got any functionality, and you're like, you just made a system to procedurally build usable caves that look cool and cinematic across the entire universe, and now you're like, you can barely get this circle menu to work. It seems like they're going fast in one thing and they're not where they need to be in another. But that's, again, we're not on the inside of the development tracks on any of these things. So
yeah. All right, so we've talked a little bit about the caves. We've talked a little bit about questioning why, we're getting these right now, and why they're focused on the mining aspect, the FPS mining, where it doesn't seem to like be a huge component to anything, and other things should take some more priority over that, yada, yada, yada. If there was 3 things you think they should prioritize right now, between now and the end of the year, in order to make our current experience in the game fun, what would those be? We'll start with Scorpion, because I know he's not ready.
All right. So
3 things, and only 3 things.
Okay. So I think that the focus areas should be 1, make the basic gameplay elements that we have in the game now. That means the basic missions, carrying boxes, bounty hunting, trading. Make those things work. Just make them work. So when I pick a bounty hunting mission and I go out there, the guy's actually there, and I can do the mission and I can get paid. Right? Make those work.
Okay, make what we have work. First thing.
2, make it so that we can easily play together. Like right now, like they have broken things that used to work great in there. Like I can no longer click on somebody's name in my list of friends and invite them to the party. I have to now scroll through the whole list of people on the server to find them and right click on them there to invite them to the party. Why? What the fuck? How did that break? Right? Make that stuff work or work again so I can easily meet up with people. And then, oh, by the way, I always see their pips, right? All that stuff works again. And 3, bring in at least the basic elements of orgs, right? Like they showed us org 2.0 like 5 years ago or whenever the hell it was, and we've gotten exactly that much of it. Bring in some basic org dynamics to where we can, and I'm just going to lump in like sharing missions, sharing pay, sharing resources, that kind of stuff in there. Bring those 3 things in and let us have at it. And then they can do all the other development they want on the back end and do all their things, and give us new releases every now and then, but make us basically functional in here. And I think that takes a lot of load off of them and makes us a little bit happier.
That's good. All right, Snake, how about you?
I'll put my responses into 3 different categories. One is
alphabetize them, please.
Yes. One is realistically hoping they do something that already existed in the game at one point, and that is making dogfighting fun again. I know that they've attempted to do a lot of changes that are foundational to the flight model. They've attempted to balance the ships to some degree, and have
what's something they could change? What's something specific in dogfighting they could change to make it better, though, instead of just like being vague? I want to get specifics.
But it's difficult because they've like in so many different ways broken the balance and literally written some of their ships off the table, like like the alien ships and stuff. But at the end of the day, I just think that they need to improve, I guess, weapon balance to be fun again, because they've created a flight model that's actually fun to fly in. They've gone a long way. It's come a long way, and it's really weapon balance that just needs to get dialed into a point where you can actually have fun. Realism aside, whatever, just make it so that it's fun to dogfight again. So that's the first one, and I don't think it's unrealistic because they had the game in a spot like that several times over the history of the game. And then the next one is one that's never happened before, which is FPS to feel good. It'd be nice if it was smooth and if not lag free, felt like your stuff was connecting, felt like you weren't T-posing dudes, like it'd be
just
cool
polish the FPS experience, basically. Yeah. Okay.
And then the other one is just a quality of life thing. I mean, we just spent a long time talking about UI improvements, and I've been of the opinion for a long time that you don't have to have the end state UI in if you want these interactable. You just like placeholder stuff is fine. If I pull up an overlay on my screen that looks like it's from Windows 10, that's fine for now, as long as it's crispy, quick, reliable, and I don't get stuck into an animation loop trying to fucking do it. It just make a practical interim UI that makes it not excruciating for us to be in this game for hours and hours at a time, trying to interact with it. Those would be the 3 things I would ask for.
Nice. All right, Tickles, you've had plenty of time. I'm waiting for the Super Space Beard to talk and come up with some amazing, very specific items to help improve where we are right now today.
I mean, some of the things that are my big beefs were already addressed with Scorp. For me, I love playing with other people. So he said all those, so I'll try to refrain from those. I will stack one on top of everything he said, which is mission sharing. I know we're supposedly getting it, right?
Yes.
Supposedly. Will it work? Will it break everything? Who fucking knows?
Well, and the question is who you're going to share it with, because if they have mission sharing, but the party system's broke, I mean, how's that work? You can share it with anybody you can't get in your party.
Fucking prizes, you know. Find out next time.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's that's my biggest one on top of everything everyone else just said. Let's see here. A lot of the shit was
failing.
I do a lot of FPS stuff, so Snake already said all that shit. It would be nice, like he said, to just get everything fucking working, man. Because sometimes you'll go down in a bunker and on the same damn server, you'll go down in a bunker and everyone ignores you. You'll literally kill their friends right in front of their faces and they ignore you. Yeah, and then you'll go into the next bunker. And you just dropped into a bunch of fucking Delta guys that were just sitting around, you know.
And that's pretty concerning to me, considering like we haven't seen a huge growth in the AI comprehension what's going on in the game. Like it's very inconsistent, because I think that speaks directly to the challenges they're having with the AI, probably in Squadron 42 as well, right? Because they constantly tout that those things are mirrored. So I'm like, if it's not working good in this game, it's definitely not going to be working good in that one at this time.
I'd say that's my number 2 is AI. I don't know if they should quote drop everything and work on AI, or if they even can. Do they even have the fucking people to do it?
Or are they already doing that with the personnel they have? Because I would imagine they are scrambling on AI. I mean, with the team that's working on that, they'd have to be. I mean, if that is a Squadron 42 thing.
Upgrades have been in for what, since 3.2? Yeah. And then they got pushed, and then they got pushed, and then they got pushed. And then we got a little bit of one with OCS. I'm expecting AI to be better with server-side OCS. And then that leads me into my third one, server-side OCS.
Server-side OCS, yeah. I think
I think some of our problems with the syncing up of things, the seeing your friends pips, you know what I mean? Some of those things will be solved with server-side OCS.
I think a lot of those things will be,
literally can't expand anymore until we have it.
Yeah, and that's also the issue in my book too, is the fact that the people have to realize we're going to be limited on anything they update until they solve that, because they can't expand anything. Caves is we don't know how caves are going to impact that, but hopefully they have a minimum impact because they're already in the same unused space maybe of what the game is, but
they're going to have a minimum impact.
I would
very minimum.
I would think they've tested that and they've figured out, hey, we can add caves and it's not going to impact a lot beyond what we already have because of this and that. I would think maybe that's part of the reasoning, like we were kind of trying to deduce on why they're implementing caves. Maybe this is a low resource cost item they can put into the game for us right now, and it's not going to impact everything else out there because, you know, they aren't a huge resource hog. All right, I'll give you my quick 3 too, and my elements they're going to kind of expand on what some of you guys said, and I try to choose these when we talk about these, and we're going to do this every week, by the way, because that way we can take a time frame where we're at and all that stuff, and they might get repetitive, but
that's a good idea.
But I think it's a good talking point too. We have to realize we're under the blanket of they can't expand anything. And I think, like you guys all touted, the fixing stuff that's already in the game is a constant. And hopefully that's a high priority for them. And I think it is, but I think maybe it's got to be overwhelming. I mean, how big's the team that's probably just the bug team in QA? They've already expanded it several times over. But just because you have a QA team, they identify bugs. They don't fix the bugs, right? The engineers fix the bugs. Can you imagine what the engineer's docket must look like for fixes? It's like, it's got to be insane. Like, it's just piped through. Like, I just fixed that. It doesn't work now. Why? And it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, to me, that is the probably most thankless job in the entire company. Probably the guy who's sitting there just trying to fix stuff. You know,
usually the most frustrating job.
Yeah, it's part of the reason we don't have bug smashers anymore. Is because he has so much workload and his team has so much workload. They can't sit there and do a video production for you guys to look at what the bugs are because they're too busy probably hammering them out all the time.
But that's at the, I mean, I guess that's at the heart of, I don't know what their approach to eliminating bugs are.
Yeah.
And I know that's many developers get frustrated trying to figure out how to create stability in their games. And
I would love to see a show talking about their processes and how they do things. You know what I mean? I would love to see how, like, yeah, but wouldn't it be interesting to see like how their bugs are processed, or how they decide to develop a team, or how they decide to prioritize what's on a team? I think they'll never do it because they don't want us to sit there and nitpick on how they do everything in the game. But that is the behind the curtain I've always wanted to see, is like, how did you decide that caves were the thing to put in right now? Like how was that decision?
I think because the caves were ready.
Yeah, but sometimes we do get that, like Pillar Talk, or occasionally we get some of that insight into their decision-making process. Why I love Pillar Talk is because it's the people that are making the decisions on direction at that table. Usually, not this last Pillar Talk, by the way.
That was Pillow Talk, yeah.
And
best Pillar Talk ever.
Yeah, the corner, I think, is when they stop breaking the game as often. And you obviously have to go through and clean out some bugs with every patch, but the reality is I don't have confidence that we're gonna vault forward with each patch until generally you're implementing content and it's not breaking everything. I realize maybe we're not there yet, but that for me is when that's God patch, in my opinion. Not necessarily that the game is done, but that from here on out we can expect content patches and not like who the fuck knows.
Yeah.
Did we talk about that last time? Like we'll be at a good state once they start cranking patches out that don't break everything.
Yeah. And I don't know, under their development process, Tickles, I don't know how they even do that. I don't, because it seems like they have like all these teams that are all spinning wheels, and then they try to merge them together, and they spend like 4 to 6 weeks trying to merge that together, and then when it breaks everything, I think it's expected at this point. Like, it's going to break stuff. Like, minimizing that's probably their goal. That's it.
When I hear them talk about methodology, it gives me confidence that they do know that that's a challenge, and they are working on improving the way they approach that problem set. But we also know that other franchises have, so they need to just come somewhere hire the experience and come up with whatever works for your particular project. And it's, at the end of the day, that's just how that's the point in the timeline that I see us realizing that this game will no longer be, maybe it never finishes. Went to, like, Escape from Tarkov, I use as an example all the time because it's got similarly ambitious scope, but it's crossed lines that hopefully Star Citizen will, which is to say it used to be a buggy mess, and it used to be an incredibly painful game to play, but they've gone around that corner, and now every patch, they've got to squash a couple bugs, but every patch is generally pure content. New guns, new AI, new maps, new NPCs, and that's it.
You're hoping for more of a live type of patching, like what we see in live games, right? Where it's a DLC or whatever they call it, or expansion or whatever, but it's just another content drop, where it's like a functioning, living environment, which, I think is a huge push-pull here always with Chris and CIG in general. It's like, yes, we always lean on the fact that this is an alpha and it's still in development and all that stuff, of course. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of things from the administration, specifically Chris Roberts and whatnot, you have like, hey, we're treating this like it's a live game. We're treating this like this. And I'm like, you say that, but you're not, because at the same time, that's not what we're getting. I know you want it to be
this with live game.
Yeah, I know you want it to be, and Chris wants it to be perceived as that. He wants things perceived done the same way he wanted Star Marine to not really be important because you already had FPS in the game, but it was still important to the community, so that's something they had to go through.
Hey, we're getting a new map.
Yep.
Surprise.
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 So, yep. Only took a few years, but that's okay. We'll get it.
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is, so obviously fix the bugs. The second one for me is not necessarily expanding on the current content that we already have, like to add more to put more stress on the servers, but like there's some obvious emergent gameplay technical things that could happen that would make it more fun for those of us trying to create something happening in the game. Like so a little more support for boarding actions. I think a huge focus they should have right now is what they've talked about for the last 2 years, and that's the disabling ships. Where's our disabled ships? Where is I can blow your engines off and you're a floating hunk out there and then I could try to board you? Where is that? That is something I think should be a huge focus in our gameplay, because how much more fun would it be when you're in a fight, especially between some of these larger vessels like an 890 or a Constellation or anything, where how many people have blown all the engines off a Constellation and there's like nothing you can do with it except just watch it float out. I want to board that thing. I don't care if it's NPC play or whatever. I want to be able to board that thing. And things like we have here on the screen where they're using this mining tool, why couldn't I breach with that? Why couldn't I do things like that in the game? And it makes it that much more interesting. And you're just expanding on content you already have for the most part, and things we've seen glimpses of where they could do a little more work in areas and add more to the emergent gameplay to make it more fulfilling for the people in the game, rather than, hey, you know, well, we're going to add in, you know, this new moon or this new planet coming in. And I get that that's different teams and all that, but I think this should be a high priority to, especially in the outset. We're looking at a very long road from what we're seeing until we get towards the end of this project. They need to focus more support on the people playing the game now to make it fun, because those people are the ones who make other people want to play. Nobody plays an MMO solo for a long time and has a blast, in my opinion. I know there's people who, oh, I've played WoW or I've played EVE Online by myself the whole time. That's great. That's a full live game. There's tons of content in it where you might be able to do that, but you are in the minority. Most people play MMOs to play either with or against people or both. That's why.
I could tell you the technical reason of why we don't have that blowing engines off and breaching thing, but I think that we need that in the game too. It's because the inside physics grid doesn't talk with the outside physics grid yet. That's the technical reason why. That's the same reason we don't have armor. That's the same reason we don't have docking. That's the same reason we don't have a lot of things, because the inside physics grid doesn't talk to the outside.
But the problem is we've done it before, so we know it's not 100%. We know it doesn't talk to each other where it makes a whole lot of sense, right? But how many times we used to be able to board the Connie all the time? I used to be able to go in NPC every ship. If you could get to the door, you could do it, right?
Yep.
The disabling aspect, and you know, it might not disable the way they want it to, but it disables. You blow the engines off, guess what? He's not driving anywhere. He's spinning out of control, but he's not going anywhere because he has no propulsion.
Well, yeah. And that's, again, I agree with you. We need to get to that point, because we're not going to have ship to ship. We're not going to have ship to station. We're not going to have the whole series at all. They've stated we're not going to have armor, any of that shit, until the inside talks to the outside and vice versa.
That's
why when you go repair your ship, it's funny because it kind of talks to each other a little bit, because when you're getting attacked, the inside of your ship will be all on fire and shit. But when you go repair it, the outside gets fixed, but the inside's still all decrepit and shit.
Yeah. And that's just it not talking to itself, because since it doesn't talk to itself all consistently, but it gives some visual cues and some certain animations and whatnot, it kind of does. So it's got to communicate on some level to function as a game, but not to the way they want it to. But I feel like they need to focus on that type of aspects. And they also need to set up more areas, more missions that make us compete against each other. And they need to make us work together on different things. You know, like why don't we have, I haven't seen this mission yet. Why don't we have a mission where it is a Vandal or Pirate Swarm in the PU? Where
I thought we had something like that a while back.
We have one where we can go kill players, right? Like where if he's a level 5 enemy of the state or whatever criminal, like everybody knows where he is. But there should be, even now, they could have it where a bunch of AI spawn, like 10, 12 ships, and it's like warning, it's just a mission where everybody can like show up and try to kill the enemy. You could still have the freedom to shoot each other if you wanted to, but it's about killing the enemy.
Yeah, we used to have that one ICC mission, right, where the Vandal would spawn and you would fight them. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, listen, make Tess great again. Where's that bitch? Where's she?
Yeah, I know. I don't know, man.
A ton of missions that fucking worked.
I know.
And then they took them all out of the game
and gave us box carrying missions.
And that's my point. It's like some of this stuff, and I know it would never be implemented. Like, okay, OC, we're waiting on server side for this. This is to make this work. We're talking about stuff that potentially you have had in the game, whether it was meant to be or not already, and you've taken it away from us.
Right.
And
there may be good reason.
But we don't know what it is.
Right, but I would also argue that like I don't have to know what it is, and I don't really necessarily almost. And I'm going to say this is going to sound harsher than I mean it, but I don't even have to care necessarily, right? Because
I don't even care.
My experience is supposed to be the player / backer experience, right? Where, and they have said this, right? They intend this game to be very playable for us at this stage already, right? Like it's not polished and finished, but we can go in and play it because they need to have that happen so we can keep the hype going and keep money coming in and keep doing things and whatever. But until recently, it seemed like there was no focus on that whatsoever. But even on that pillar talk, right, where Aaron Roberts was there, he made it very clear that like they expect us to be able to go in and enjoy it and play it. So hopefully they're going to get some focus on that, because I think that currently is not the case. If you look at what's going on right now, the number of people playing it consistently are going down, 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 down. And because we don't see much on the horizon that's going to maybe change that, I think that they should focus on some core elements that just need to work, so we can do basic things and create our own gameplay, right? Because that's what this community is really good at, is creating our own content based on primitives. So like content primitives in there that work consistently, so we can build up these bigger things.
Yeah, I do think that they lose. I think you're spot on. I think that they lose the perspective of how to do that. I mean, there's some very low-hanging fruit that they could have created more with. A prime example is Jumptown.
Yep.
Everybody loved Jumptown. Chris Roberts loved Jumptown. The developers thought it was cool, and they decided, because they didn't have a grasp for why Jumptown was what made Jumptown exist in the first place, and it's a purely economic motivation, meaning
he who controls Jumptown controls
scarcity.
The economy
is the only reason it exists. The scarcity is at the heart of all conflict, and if you put a bunch of you can't just be like, hey, let's put a bunch of Jumptowns. Like, no,
totally defeated the whole purpose.
You can't do that.
And that right there just that shows the whole, like, they don't get it, right? They don't get co-op.
Easily, what this game would benefit greatly from? Weekly events. And guess what would have been the easiest weekly event to create for players to experience? You literally go in there and say, Widow is not any longer available at this terminal. Widow equals that terminal over there. And boom, now players have to spend the beginning of that week just trying to track down based on maybe some vague clues, or not even. They just find with a new Widow location, because players are out there, they will do it. Yeah. And then once you've found the new one, now we can all fight over the one over on that planet or that moon. And it changes the entire backdrop. Your physics on other planets are different. All these things change without you having to do anything but change the name of the terminal that it's available for.
Bingo. And we thought they were going to do it.
I thought, they were huge fans of Jumptown. We were like, we're finally on the same page. We're going to have Jumptown fun forever.
I don't think they understand how Jumptown worked, though. I really just don't think they totally got how it worked. I think they saw it and they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm like,
this looks like something we can ruin.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't think they understand how it works that way. Economically, it impacted everything. I mean, that's something I hope in the future that they'll expand on. Like, imagine like if you could have missions where it was like a convoy breakout, like you're disabling a convoy and you're taking the Widow caravan out in space from that, or something. Those type of things you see in every other game, right? Like whether it's a boat game where you're sailing as a pirate to go stop a fleet of ships and take their booty or their cargo, or like Widow and Jumptown. All these aspects like that are things that are there. Because right now I feel like they keep talking about like, oh, we need, you know, server-side OCS in order to raise the player cap. If you raise the player cap, if you add that extra content right now into your current path of how you're putting stuff in the game, instead of having 50 people all play their own individual game and bog down the server, you'll have 100 people all playing their own individual game and bogging down the server. We have no co-op. They are not focused in the areas of what makes an MMO, and that's playing together, doing things against each other, and those type of things. And none of that support seems to be a focus. It's like every episode I get like, hey, we're going to add this new shiny thing to look at, or this new thing that you can do completely fucking by yourself.
Right.
Like this. This is what, there's no co-op in this, and we're going to have 50 episodes with a mining thing. I just don't understand it.
You're right. And it's ironic because they're like all about scale.
Yeah.
And then the irony is that you're doing all these things in this vastness of the universe by yourself.
All by yourself.
And
by yourself.
You can't do them with a bunch of people because the game isn't a platform capable of
personalized inventory is going to be great for just you. That's awesome. You still can't share it. You don't have any group stuff. We're not combining things.
No inward and like make what they've got, you know, better product.
Right. And there's weird stuff that happens too, right? Like if I'm flying my ship and I've got a turret gunner, and the turret gunner shoots at a cop, I get a crime stat, but the turret gunner doesn't.
That doesn't. Right? Now, if everybody got crime stat, that would make sense.
That would make sense because it's tied to the ship, right?
Yep.
So it seems like there's a lot of stuff that's tied, like to me, the person, but not to the ship. But then there's some stuff that's tied to the ship and not me.
And I guarantee
it doesn't make any sense.
But they'll relate that to the fact the inside and outside aren't talking to each other, and since you're the pilot, that's why you're in trouble. Probably they'll do something weird.
That relates to real life. Yep. If I'm a gunner on a fucking helicopter and I go fucking ham right over the city and just start fucking going to town, right?
Yep.
Pilot can't do shit.
He's in trouble.
Guess who's the ranking guy on that boat?
No, I'm gonna go to fucking Gitmo, but they're gonna get in trouble too.
And I see Alarath in chat talking about we need bigger missions to support that, and that's not true. We don't need bigger missions to support any of this like co-op play or anything. No. You can do it right now in the game. And even if they add the whole mission sharing and stuff like we talked about earlier, without co-op gameplay, without them fixing the party system, that's going to be a pain in the ass. And let's be honest, most of us will struggle through that because we're content creators and we're trying to play the game with you and all that. Regular Joe and Larry off the street, if it's a pain in the ass to add a friend, if I have to go to the website and do all this, they're just like, I'll just go fly by myself, bro. I'll just go do my own thing. They aren't going to struggle through. Co-op, multiplayer gameplay, grouping up should be the easiest portion of this entire game if it's an MMO.
No, I agree with what he's saying, and I took it that way to begin with. 7,000 between two people sucks. 7,000 between three people is even worse, right? And that just that goes from there. We do need bigger missions to support that in a way. I agree with that.
That's fine, but I want to play with my friends.
Yeah.
So right now, to me too, it's not a play in the game to make money anyway. We don't have the persistency or support for us to grow and get a bunch of ships together or do any of that stuff. They can always tweak the financial output, right? There's missions right now where you fight 5, 6, 10, 12 guys, right? And you could scale those up to like make them worth more money with more people or whatever you want to do or however you want to do it. But most people like look at, well, if you scale it up, it's just one guy's going to do it and get all the money. I get that. But the whole fact is most people in MMOs want to play it together. And they're totally ignoring that. They're attracting, and I know Star Citizen might be a weird animal, and people are like, well, I know a lot of people, they just play by themselves. That's because all Star Citizen allows. I guarantee we'd get a whole new group of people. If you support co-op gameplay, if you support people playing together, there wouldn't be as many people solo because they would get murked because people would be grouping up and be like, hey, we're going to play together.
Clearly, people want that multiplayer experience. Look at Rex's content. I mean, people are
if you'll grind for it, they will.
When things are happening together than like when one guy, because basically all the rest of the content.
But what Rex does would be the normal thing for people to do, right? Rex works his butt off to make all that happen with his team of people to group that group together. That should be something organically most of us could get together with our friends list and do easily.
Oh my God.
And it's not.
No, he's a genius. Anybody who's ever tried to get more than 3 people together to do anything,
good luck.
Literally 2 hours.
It's fucking hurting cats, and it's brutal. He's got motherfuckers standing around Port Olisar at the position of ease and just standing there waiting.
It's impressive.
How did he do it?
Because you did it all the time. If you do it all the time consistently, you can make it happen. I mean,
people know their expectations and all that stuff, and he's probably got good.
Well, on the weekend we were doing it to start with all the time, right? It was SpaceBro Saturdays. We do it Saturday. Everybody group up and do all that stuff. But when you stop doing it, nobody's going to do it anymore. And Rex does it every day, so he has the group of people he's developed there where he does it consistently. People show up, and the type of people that are there all the time. You can make it happen. But my whole point is. CIG needs to focus on making it easy. They need to make that possibility easy for the regular guy, not us streamers and content creators. Like if my wife wants to play, she should be able to group up with her girlfriends and go out and fucking play. Not like, so I need a 20-minute lesson on how to do this, and if it breaks, I got to refresh and do it all 5 more times. It's like that doesn't make sense. That's not fun.
Yeah.
Well, I understand how cool the idea of scale is, but from a game playability standpoint, again, taking cues from those that have gone before us and MMOs, WoW and WoW Classic is a perfect, renewed contact with sort of that experiment before it really existed in its mature form. And the reality is, we can, rating as 40 people can be fun. Having a 40-person activity is cool in a scale that we haven't seen since then, really. But in truth,
giant pain in the dick.
the best pay dirt from a multiplayer standpoint for me, for like the MMO side of the house, was a 5-man, because it was small enough for everybody to see each other shine. If you were about to die and a healer drops a monster heal on you, even though you can see them running around the fucking cave being smacked because you can't grab aggro, you're like, my boy's on me, he can heal me through all that shit. And your tank is like constantly grabbing those ads. Like you would never see that shit if you're in a 40-man that's chaotic and stuff like that. And so that 5-man gives you that adventurer's party prism to view each other's activities and your own and shine in your role. And I just think they should tune the content to be less like fleet ops and be shooting for that satisfying 5-man. And if it can scale later on, great. Everybody wants a bigger universe, but
But we're going to need both anyway later on. Not everyone's going to be in a fleet, right? There's going to be plenty of small
virtually
groups.
Nobody. Yeah, I mean, that's
right.
And one of the things I think, like if we look to examples like EVE Online did well, is you still had a squad or whatever. You could have a 5-man squad or fire team or whatever you want to call it, right? And you could automatically link that to another group. You could fleet up and scale that. You could divide it up into different groups. And I think, again, multiplayer is something they should focus on, or it's not an MMO. It's just not. It's like you're all just playing in the same space. And I think the majority of people would be co-op, just 2 people, maybe 3 or 4. And then there'd be bigger groups on occasion. But I agree with Snake. They should focus, at least for right now, on content that's about grouping up and play your friends. Because the games that make me excited about going back to them every day, like the same reason people play games like, Battlefield or Call of Duty or something, isn't necessarily the game themselves. It's because they're playing with their friends. Same thing in WoW. Most people play with their team of guys. They aren't trying to play every single time they log in with 40 people. They're playing with like their bros, their friends, and they want to group up with that group and do it. And if the whole guild's doing a raid later, great, they'll do the big op. But right now they want to go make some money, and they need to gear the game towards that and make it physically relevant for those 4 people to make the money, and it easy to group up with those 4 or 5 people. That's the content they need right now.
We've said this for a long time. If you can't give us the content right now, we get it. You're still working on that part. You don't have to. What you need to do is give us the tools to create our own content, which is multiplayer. You don't need to come up with these pre-made mission chains and all that stuff that'll exist at some point. I understand all that stuff takes a lot of time to create and is bespoke. But what we do need, all you got to do is give us the framework to do, multiplayer things, and we will be able to gen up stuff to do for a very long time.
Again, it's sure what Scorp said. Sure would be nice to have our fucking orgs where I can pull up an org pane and say, hey, you guys, or org chat, hey, do you guys want to fucking go do this? Who's online? Pull up my org pane. Okay, sweet. Right. This guy, this guy, this guy. Let's group up. Let's go do this.
And 100%, that's not about like just us and people that like some person with 200, 400 man org or test. I'm talking about like the 5-man orgs, right? Where you're a mining corporation. That is fun for people. That is, majority of orgs are going to be under 20 guys. Majority of them be under 20 guys, and they're just going to want to play with their buddies and do their thing, and they can see them online and all that stuff. This is stuff that's been around for 20 freaking years, and I understand it's not a live game, blah, 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 all that stuff. This is something that needs to be focused on, and I think it needs to be focused on immediately. This is something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
Again, oh, sorry. Scorp's been trying to talk for a minute. Go ahead, dude.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, look, I'm kind of tired of this kind of in-between thing, right? Where it's like, it's not really a live game, but, oh, by the way, we need you all to play, so we keep the hype going, but it's not a live game, so you shouldn't expect to play, but we need you to play, but it's not a live game, so we can't. So, bullshit. It is absolutely not a finished game, but it is absolutely a live game that they need us to play on a consistent basis to some degree to keep the hype going and to keep people interested and keep all these things going. They absolutely need that to happen. So, given that fact, right, like there are new people coming in all the time, but right, what keeps us going though is the fact that there are people doing this all the time to some degree. And so I think they absolutely have to focus on those core things that allow us to basically play the game in some fashion that works, and to kind of keep that going, regardless of all the new doodads they put in or new game mechanics they put in or new whatever things that they do. They need to have the basic stuff that works. And so, right, and I hear in chat all the time where people are like, well, it's not a finished game, it's still an alpha, blah, 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 blah. I know. I hear it. But they absolutely need us and expect us to play this game on a consistent basis. Otherwise, it's not going to continue.
When I hear that, all
questions isn't working, by the way.
I noticed that. If you have questions, guys, we'll put the form link up. Go ahead, Snake, sorry.
When I hear it's an alpha, that war cry, that banner cry, I just don't understand. Like, that's exactly why we are here and talking about this stuff. Is if we didn't experience this stuff, we didn't highlight this stuff, we didn't supply suggestions, who would be doing that? Game testers? No, game testers run around the edges of the map looking for square blocks that like show through the textures. Like, they're not looking for this stuff that we're experiencing from a game player's perspective.
And they've said that multiple times. They're like, dude, without you guys, we'd be fucking nowhere.
So because it's an alpha is precisely why we're having these conversations and not why we shouldn't be having these conversations,
Also, I don't know, man. They just keep saying, yeah, it's not live, but it is live. It's not live. They keep coming out with this new content. Great, yay. But as we've stated tonight and God, how many other nights, little fucking gnats. I can't wait till winter. Sorry.
I know. I'm the same way over here, man.
Dude, Jesus. Every time they come out with new content, they keep breaking other shit, but that shit doesn't get fixed. It doesn't get fixed. It stays broken for how long?
Well, it goes back to the way that you create very long play loops. And with multiplayer, if I get killed, like I remember the days of our dogfighting and org dogfighting and stuff. It's like, if I get killed, I want to come back as fast as possible and do it all over again. But when I go to do a mission and it is clearly broken, and then the box falls to the floor, or I die randomly, or I'm back at the menus, or I'm sitting there without a box, and I'm thinking, well, I could go back through all that again and expect a different result for some reason, or now what do I do? Like, how am I supposed to spend the next 3 hours of the night going back to do that over and over again. Like it just doesn't make sense to ask a player to do that. So, you know, there's an easy way to create hours of gameplay and, you know, having broken missions or mechanics at all, you can't keep doing it.
I don't remember what it was. This has happened multiple times, by the way, but just recently I had brought something all the way from the other side of the fucking solar system. And I had a buddy of mine who I was going to set it down and give to, right? Because I was going to put it in my hab in Hurston.
You can't set it down.
I set it down to give it to him, and it fucking...
Did we just mute everybody? Lost all volume. You hear me, but you don't hear them, right? So right now he's going on and on. I bet I've accidentally hotkeyed Discord. Hang on.
Patches, it's very patch dependent, but I've found it's much more every other patch at this point, where I think about Star Citizen and I'm like, the last time I played in this patch, I couldn't do this, and this. What am I gonna do in there? You know, like I have a hard time.
Did you have us muted?
What?
Apparently they couldn't hear any of that. That was great content too. Like
right in the middle of Tickles doing it, like I was trying to fix the command for questions, and it like hotkeyed muted Discord, and I'm over there scrambling to unmute it, and I'm like, they can't hear me anymore, can they? It's like, no.
Tickles was ranting. It was great, and then
yeah. I just want to point out it's not ironic that
try to do it again.
Xylo came in the chat and he messaged me. He's like, "Quick, mute him, pull his plug before he says anything bad about the game." So I muted Tickles real quick. Sorry.
Way too late for that.
It's an inside job.
All of that does kind of match what we're talking about.
Out for me. Long story short, brought a turtle over from ArtCorp, went to set it down on the floor so my buddy could pick it up. Did you mute me again already?
No, you're good. Turtle stories ago.
On the floor, and it went straight through the fucking floor. And that's not the first time this has happened. Can't set anything down on the floor in most places because it'll just fall through.
Yeah.
That was the longest short of it. And then we all shared our stories of oh yeah, that happened to me, and we had a great camaraderie moment, but you guys will never see it. So
yep.
Now
if you do the Vimo paid per view, no, I'm just kidding.
The bottom line is it's not, you know, when a specific quest or all the quests / missions are generally not repeatable. They're too broken to repeat. What are you left to be able to do? You know, like what?
Well, and you'll fly out. I do a lot of bunker missions. You'll fly all the way to a fucking mission, and then you're like, this one's broken. I don't know how many times I've had someone new come in, like, oh, hey, I'm new to Star Citizen. What are you doing? Oh, we're about to go do this cool ass bunker mission.
Yeah.
We're going to go down there. We're going to fucking kill these guys. And you hype it up, right? Because it is pretty fucking cool. And then you get there, and the first thing they see is, oh, that's fucking broken.
And they'll look at it, and you got to remember these new people coming in, or people that haven't dedicated the amount of time or investment or anything like that into the game. So they're sitting there watching Tickles or Snake or me or somebody do this whole 30-minute spiel of like building up to go do this thing, and then only to arrive as broken. They're thinking in their minds, man, I would have wasted 30 minutes of my life to get nothing happening at all. And again, for us, it's always going to be a little lopsided, because for us and for you guys, even their viewers, it's not a big deal because it's content, right? Like, you were watching us, we're joking, all this stuff. But my concern again is for the regular guy who we're expecting to buy the game and pick it up and play it, and they're not on stream. They're not, doing this for a job. They're not doing any of that stuff. They're just trying to enjoy a video game. And are they going to enjoy that? I mean, that it's hard for me to come in and tell a new person that, like, hey, yeah, come play Star Citizen, you're going to love this, blah, blah, blah. I always have to do the whole padded thing, and I get tired of saying it. Well, You know,
there's a lot of bugs. Do you expect bugs?
You gotta have like a writer message come across our whole screen, like, warning, this is not a full game, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm tired of it because I love the game. I love Star Citizen, but I want to be able to show all the good stuff. I want people to come in and experience good stuff. I want people to be able to come in that never watched Twitch, that never watched YouTube, don't have a clue who any of us are, back Star Citizen, buy a game, and like be able to group up with 3 of their buddies, go in and have an experience, and then if they find us or somebody else later, they can share that experience with all of us and tell us a story about how cool it was for them. And I never hear that anymore. I just don't. Yeah. It doesn't happen.
Well, you know, we've all had parts of the game that worked really well, that we enjoyed for long hours in the past. Like, kind of speak of what we touched on earlier, which is, you know, they've broken things that worked quite well for quite a while. And, you know, for me, like dogfighting in an absolute hornet's nest over Jumptown, where, you know, you're like 10 on 10 or 8 on 8, or, you know, just absolute swarms of ships dogfighting, and it was super intense and fun. And people can both enjoy spectating that and see the beauty of the game and the vision of the game doing that, and it's fun to participate in. And it's been dismantled, and I just feel like they don't approach the game the way they eventually have to, which is when something works and is a core gem of the game, you need to like take it like it's a little flame and be like, this must be protected, and we need to make sure if nothing else happens, at least it stays lit. Because
I feel the same. Star Citizen, sometimes the developers, and I love, dude, I've poured I don't know how many fucking thousands of dollars into this game. I back it true, and I will never ever stop backing it. So when I criticize it, take it as criticism, you know, if there's any devs watching.
It's out of love. Because we want it to work.
Start of love.
Sometimes feels like your wife or your girlfriend. You know, you're like,
I feel like my grandmother.
They're having a lot of fun with this. That's fucking got to go. That's we got to break it. We got to take it out. We got to do something. It's gone.
Well, again, the mentality. Yeah, the mentality is like, okay, when the game is done or shipped, will they see the things that work in it and be like, my dudes, this stuff has to stay rock solid. You can make changes. We can deal with a couple odds and ends for bugs when we implement new content, but these things cannot get fucked up. You cannot change the balance of this without, you know, close attention and quick responses. Anything with PvP, anything with ships, anything that has a good, you know, consistent game loop, you've got to all of a sudden put that on a pedestal, because if it breaks, everything else crumbles underneath. And a lot of games, especially PvP based games, know this well. They know how fragile the game is. You break it quite easily if you're not very careful, and you have to put a lot of resources into going about those changes properly. And I don't see them with that sort of mentality. Like, okay, this works. This is great content. This is what players are enjoying. Just protect it and try to build around it, not fundamentally, but like, you know, just I don't know.
I think we're at the point in the game now too. They've developed to the amount of time they have that we need to see more. If something fundamental in the game's broken, they need to start doing rollbacks. We need to roll back to the previous patch. If something's working well, instead of like, because I feel like because it's a test environment, because it's all this stuff, you know, previously over the years and years and years with Star Citizen, I feel like if something breaks when they do an update on Battlefield, on WoW, on anything, they roll back a patch until they fix it. We need to go to that point. If Chris and everybody wants to treat this as a live game, if we want this to be content that's working, if the missions are working well and all this stuff, and you put something in that fundamentally breaks like the Super Hornet to where it's floating off the pad, that was fine 3-4 years ago. Now it needs to go to a rollback. Oh, we'll roll it back and then we'll figure it out and then we'll put it back out. That's what they do.
You can only roll back so far, though, you know.
The only time I've seen a rollback recently, and I mean in the last, since 3.0 that I've really noticed, was that one fucking patch where it was a disconnect every, 5 minutes.
Yeah, it has to be like a critical failure for them to roll back at this point.
And then even then they let that go on, which they got a lot of data from, and I get that, right? That was PTU, but that's the only fucking rollback I've seen so far.
Yeah, and I don't think PTU they should roll back, but live I think they should, because I've seen them push stuff to live that's like, well, you can't use these mods anymore. You can't like do any of these missions are done, and they're still going live with it and stuff. And I'm like,
I feel like there's an acceptable amount of broken, and that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah. Not in the live.
I just wonder too if they've got the man to. It's very difficult to run studios that are, worldwide, different countries and stuff. And I can only look at other studios and wonder, do they spend, let's say they have a game in development. I just try to break out of the Star Citizen like community mentality for a second and just see like what I might think if, say, Ubisoft was over here doing a game. They've been on it for like 4 or 5 years, give or take a year. And I would, if they told me they were burning through $250 million a year of operating expenses, would I expect them to have a 1,000 man studio pumping it out, or is 500 enough? And if it is enough, because I generally get the impression that CIG continues to be a smallish studio, even though they've got quite a lot of people working there now. Do they need more? I don't know. I'm not really I've never worked at studios before, successful or otherwise. But they definitely always seem like they don't have enough people to do what they need to do.
Yeah. And over the years, it's like, initially I felt like we were getting content at a rate, and they were making it not even just content, advancements in the engine. Everything else was advancing enough, and they touted the world development, type things where they have all these studios. They have almost a 24-hour cycle on like work, right? Where they're like, one studio's wrapping up, the next one's coming online, all that stuff. As time goes on, where are the advantages in that? Where do we see the advantages paying off in that in the development of the game? I don't know. I mean, I assume they're there. I just don't know. I mean,
like we're still in a range in the timeline where people can say, hey, it usually takes this amount of time to make a marquee AAA game. And so we're all like, okay, that's true. You're right. But when we get to 7 or 8 years of development, I guess kind of what you were speaking about before, the expectation level of the game at some point must change. The expectation level must be after a certain line. I don't know when that is. Maybe we haven't gotten there yet. That this level of quality and reliability exists in the game, because not just for their own development sake, but if you're at 9 years or 10 years, there's going to be, at some point, there's got to be an expectation that you're like almost there.
And again, it's not even about, to me, like how long to complete the game, how long to all that stuff. It's more about, like we're talking about here, providing a live environment that's fun to play, focusing on those issues for the live to make it something that's the community will play as you build the game, as it grows. If it takes 20, 30, 40 years and it continues on, it's always a live development game. That's fine. But you have to focus on what gameplay you have if you want to call it a live game. If you want people to be actively playing it, it can't be a buggy filled mess in the live aspect that PTU can, the other development can, but there's certain focuses on teamwork, co-op play, multiplayer. Orgs, I think, are just something that should be, because it's an easy way for people to do stuff together. I wouldn't care. I'll tell you what, if they came out with org gameplay next month, Scorpion, I wouldn't care if it was limited to 10 people in an org. It has nothing to do with content creators to me. It has to do with group play and making it easy for people to group up and have fun together. And it needs to work. It just needs to work.
Yeah, because like if I can now have people in my org who I don't have to now do a party invite for, and they get to use my ships or the ships that I share, or maybe for now it's just all my ships, they can use them, period. End of story. That'd be great, right?
Yeah.
And or I get the option now when we're doing a mission together, or we're both on the ship doing this mission, or I can just say, hey, guess what? All of my rewards, just split them across the entire org. Or right, whatever. Like those basic things, put those in, Now we're good for a little bit on some of that stuff, right? Even with broke ass missions. But it's a weird catch-22 that they've gotten themselves into, right? Because like, and it's hard to keep a live game environment going in the alpha state, and also at the same time develop 2 games in the background, right? The one that you're keeping, this live alpha, and Squadron 42. And but that's the bed they made, right? That's the way they've gotten to where they are now. You have to
adapt. I mean, things change, and you have to adapt as you grow. And I think they've done a pretty decent job in adapting their processes internally. But it's just like SpaceBro was saying in there, talking about, well, we'll see when they come out with this new schedule, 6 months per team instead of 3 months.
We thought the same thing when they came out with that schedule.
And the thing is, you can say whatever you want to say. They can talk about pillars. So now the expectation was pillars. It's like that I was not happy with. I didn't like
that only lasted for like what, 6 months, and then suddenly we don't hear about pillars anymore, and then we're off on other things.
It changes all the time. It changes too frequently, I think, is a problem.
Well, and I think that they're reinventing some of this stuff as they go, because maybe they haven't been able to attract certain experience to the teams or something like that. But like Mitch is saying, I think that there's 2 ways for a game to come together in my mind. One is you're developing all these things separate from each other, and they near the end get beautifully woven together, and boom, you drop a fucking mic.
Hopefully.
The other is you build a piece till it's done, and then you add a piece to it, and then that's done, and then you add another piece to it, and then that's done, and that's more typical. But now that you're talking about this live game development stuff, it occurs to me that you can't really have a live game development and have all the things be done at the same time. There is no
inherently, and I think CIG has proven this, Snake. I think they've proven it doesn't work well in a live environment. I'm not saying they won't do it or they can't do it. They can do it as long as we accept them doing it. That's fine. I mean, it's whatever. But is it really translating to good live gameplay for anybody?
Well, and like if we, as content creators that constantly field questions about where the state of the game, it would be a lot easier if we were like, well, right now we've got super stable flight. But weapons are still getting dialed in. We have super stable UI. It's really easy to interact and invite friends and stuff like that. But they're still working on content for groups to do. These types of explanations would be much easier. But I'm trying to think of something that is reliable enough for us to say that that's basically in place.
Let me pose something to you guys. They take all this fucking time, right, to develop this hover mode, right? This is a hypothetical story. They take a lot of developer time to develop this nice hover mode,
which we don't know how long it took, because the next story you'll say that and they'll say, "Oh, that didn't take no time at all." That's what I always hear too. But go ahead.
But yeah, so let's just say they did this, and they take this fucking time to make it. They implement it. And I tell you what, God forbid, a couple of people just don't take the time to learn to use it. And then they all bitch about it. And then CIG goes, well, yeah, we're going to take that and just fucking scrap it. We're going to have this new thing. We're going to have this new thing. Don't worry.
It didn't really achieve what we wanted to achieve, even though we released it to you because we thought it achieved what we wanted to achieve.
Yep.
But now we changed our mind. No, I'm with you.
And let's just say that new thing, when it was implemented, worked fucking perfectly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there, right? That's a hypothetical.
I mean,
totally hypothetical.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
No, I agree.
I think at some point,
let's scrap it.
I think at some point with the way and I feel like CIG is good about adapting to a lot of things. The one thing they will not look inward on right now is the fact that, hey guys, what we're doing as far as our development cycles, as far as what we're doing, does not support our live gameplay at all. It doesn't support it. It doesn't work well for it. It doesn't really pay homage to like, hey, we want people to play the game. We've talked about how important it is for people to play while we're building this universe, but yet we have not figured out ways to make that gameplay stable, make it consistent, and make it fun for groups of people to play together in an MMO. Because they haven't. I have not seen it. The only way you see groups of people playing are when people that are content creators or somebody else have just dug their claws in, clawed and scraped, and made people play together. That's it. There's nothing intuitive about like I can group up. There's no, and like I talked about the Vandal Swarm or the Pirate Swarming game, that's a great opportunity for individuals to go attack or go fight something in the game, right? Without me being friends like, oh, there's a raid here. Oh, okay, it's a group, everybody can mass and do those things. Yeah. Will it work out? Will somebody like, you know, flip on everybody and kill everybody? Maybe, but that's content, baby. That's just fun. That's stuff that happens.
Yeah.
They should do it.
Yeah, I draw parallels, especially with Escape from Tarkov, because it's also in development, and I've just been able to watch their methodology. And I'm not saying everything needs to be identical, but they navigated many of the same challenges. For example, their maps only supported, you know, like somewhere like 4 to 6 to 8 people or whatever. Like a lot of times. They were technical limitations, right? And they worked around those technical limitations. And just for a moment, I know we all want, you know, to live in a universe that's got thousands and billions of people in this video game, Second Life style. But just pretend for a second that 50 was always going to be the cap in your section of the universe, and that was never going to be attempted to be exceeded. And we could just focus on that encounter where there's 50 people on the server. How to make that experience super good? I think it would reroute resources significantly, but you know, the focus outward versus the focus inward on what they've got is eventually, like that's that turn I keep saying is it's got to happen. Eventually, they've got to decide it is now time to nail down and create. They say polish, but what in the game has completed a polish stage and is quote unquote done, shippable, gold.
I think now's the time, especially if they're saying they have so much tech and so much content held up by server-side OCS. Why aren't you working on the internal stuff right now that would make the party stuff? If that's all the stuff roadblocking, you have all the stuff, so they're working on other stuff to add in after OCS comes in or whatever. Why aren't we focusing on co-op, multiplayer, grouping, party system? Why aren't we doing that? And people keep pointing to, well, they got mission sharing. I'm calling bullshit right now. If I can't group up with Tickles, how the fuck can I share a mission with them? I mean, I'm just like, unless they're addressing the other thing, there's no way. It's like, oh, well, it's a function that works in there. That's like half the content we get on stuff where it's like, oh, this is in there. I'm like, but all the tools and all the basic things to support that aren't. So
well, plus, I mean, that's the thing, right? Which is where at some point you have to wonder, right? Because we keep building more and more and more and more onto this house of cards, and at some point, like, when is the foundation going to become more solid? Because I don't know that it's going to happen magically at some point, because I don't see how that's going to work.
I'm hoping like CitizenCon, they'll show us all about it. I hope the new roadmap, the new pillar talk will be like, we know we have a long road ahead of us. We got Squadron 42 coming out. Our internal team is focused on making what you got really cool. That's what I want to hear from CitizenCon.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The idea now, as I can tell, is that they are working on these very siloed projects, and in theory, they all come together occasionally or will eventually. But that's just when you say it that way, sounds like a tall order, and it has proven to be extremely inconsistent. I mean, you break stuff that you thought was like ominous dominus, you're good to go, now let's move on. But no, now it's broken again, and not broken like there's a bug, but like you can't do it. It's not doable. You know.
Absolutely. All right. Let's go around the room. We'll find out what everybody's got going on this weekend. We only have one question. I know part of it's because the bot's broken. Well, I know, but I keep putting the link in there.
I'm sure your questions are minimized.
I've been putting links in there for it just manually, because it's like the cloud bot from Slobs is not liking the command
because Slop suck. Just
it
does not suck.
There's a reason I haven't canceled DeepBot yet. I mean, I'm trying here.
I do like DeepBot.
I like DeepBot too. He needs work on adding some shit to it.
A Streamlabs chatbot, or is there a completely separate bot?
Well, there's CloudBot, and because they're getting
for Streamlabs, but
yeah,
it uses different formats and stuff. So
yeah, and they keep talking about getting rid of chatbot for slobs, and just going to CloudBot.
I like chatbot though.
Yeah, Streamlabs, that would be a horrible choice if you decide to do that. That would be horrible.
I know. Toy's been stressing it because he put everything on Streamlabs setup, and he's got everything on the actual chatbot. So he's like kind of worried about it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't do scripting in their CloudBot. You can't do like the add-on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think it would be a horrible choice to do that personally.
Or fix the CloudBot to do all
completely go that way until they have full identical functionality, but who knows?
Yeah.
You would hope so, but stranger decisions have been made by companies.
Absolutely. True. So again, if you have any questions, the link's in chat. There you go, guys. Make it happen, Captain. Let's go over to Scorpion. What you got going on this weekend? What's happening? All that stuff.
What is going on this weekend? I'm hopefully getting some sleep this weekend. Although
nope, not on this show. You're
tonight. Not on this show. And probably not tonight, but probably tomorrow I'll get some sleep. And then we'll see going from there. But I'm streaming tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. So in roughly 9 hours and 7 minutes from now. And I'll do some Star Citizen, and then we'll get into some things. And then I'll stream again Sunday morning. Yeah, it's pretty much as far as I can see into the crystal ball for now. Hopefully, I'll be able to get my Monday stream going again on Monday. And then, and I'm going to TwitchCon next weekend.
Lucky bastard.
So, yeah.
All you bastards going.
Yeah.
Not me,
Snake,
but...
you're going too, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and I'm bunking up with Diffuse, so it should be interesting. So we'll have a good time. I have to leave Saturday night though on the red eye because I got to get back here Sunday morning, so my rest of my family can go to a concert. And I can watch the boy. So yeah, so it should be good anyway. So that's it.
Nice. I'm jealous of the TwitchCon, but I'll be there next year.
I was kind of ambivalent on it a little bit, and then just talking to Luke and stuff, we're like, yeah, you know what, let's go, man. It was a good time last time. Let's just go and party or whatever.
There you go. All right, Snake, how about you?
Well, my weekend is being dominated by open for selling my house. So unfortunately, streaming probably isn't going to happen a lot, but I'm still producing YouTube stuff. So more reviews coming for one of the ones I'm working on is the Logitech G Pro wireless mouse and Logitech G Pro keyboard.
Nice.
And we'll be trying to we're almost to 1,000 subs on YouTube, which is obviously pretty small, but
link that.
Yeah, put your YouTube link in chat at some point there.
Awesome.
Can't sub if I don't know your link.
Yeah, thank you. We're YouTube, the 1,000 sub mark is where you can start making a career out of it. Basically, it's sort of a benchmark for YouTubers. So it's kind of an exciting moment. We're going to do a giveaway for that when we finally hit 1,000. We're literally like 6 away or something like that. So
make it happen, chat. You can do it tonight. Boom, done.
You can do it tonight. I'm going to get the link for you guys, but. The YouTube stuff is going fun, and prepping for TwitchCon, which will be I think managing expectations with TwitchCon is just to have fun, hang out with friends, and see what's
new
out
tech,
there, and
new stuff coming out
about it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, I think as long as you treat
bro at last year's, right?
I know. I mean, technically, a lot can happen between between the TwitchCons. So who knows?
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't a partner last time, so this will be my first TwitchCon as a partner, so that could be fun.
Oh, you can go in the really crapped lounge now, so that way everybody can squeeze in there with all the other 75,000 partners that are there now.
Yeah, that's gonna work out good.
Yeah.
Grab some extra partner swag for me. I can't go.
Okay, will do.
Yeah, all the partner swag. Mr. Tickles, how about you? How's your weekend looking for you?
Well, we're gonna go. I know it's got nothing to do with the stream, but we're gonna take the kiddo to an orchard tomorrow. You know, got a CPL class tomorrow that we're teaching. Well, I'm helping teach. I'm not teaching the whole thing. And then we have the stream, Sassy Saturdays, of course. Igo will be on, and we're giving away a Cutlass Black Loot and Scoot Deluxe package.
Oh man!
So
you guys better tune in for that. Make sure that you're going over there checking that out. Yeah, it's a great package. Super package.
So, unfortunately, that's the only great package I have. So,
Heyo.
But that's the one we're giving away. So,
Crazy
yep, that's
sauce.
and then of course we'll have a Sunday stream. Might be something weird. I might go with a little bit of Wildlands because I am not feeling the new whatever Ghost Recon, because they've changed it to a looter shooter instead of the go here, get your gun, this type of thing. Yes, I haven't
checked it out yet. I was looking at maybe doing something with it. I decided originally I was going to jump into Call of Duty and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's more like Division now. Yeah, I'm not feeling it, dude.
Yeah,
I loved the way they did Wildlands, and
they went away from that.
I don't know though. A lot of people thought the Wildlands fell short a little bit, so I think maybe that's what they were.
I fucking loved Wildlands.
Wildlands, I think for co-op gameplay was really fun on the story mode. I don't know about the multiplayer. I wasn't a big fan of the multiplayer.
I didn't play multiplayer at all.
Yeah, multiplayer on Wildlands I didn't like, but the story, the multiplayer within the game story itself was great.
Yeah, the open world.
Dude,
it was awesome.
It was like playing GTA 5 with your friends, you know, inside the world, like you know. In Wildlands in a Ghost Recon environment. It was really fun.
And it kind of seems like they built it off the damn near the same engine. The graphics don't look any different.
Yeah.
I'm sure they did. Yeah. I'm sure they built off of it.
They usually don't change engines except for every couple of years.
It looks like everything is the same. So
yeah. You mean Breakpoint, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll play Wildlands. Fuck Breakpoint. That's
yeah.
So maybe a little Wildlands Sunday if anyone's on and has it.
There you go. I'm gonna boot that back up. No, but
I have it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I haven't played it in a while, but I had some great multiplayer experiences in the story game in Wildlands.
Yeah,
it's really fun.
The open world is really all I care about. I never played the multiplayer, didn't care to.
I dipped my toes into it and I was like, yeah, it wasn't for me. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel very good, didn't feel real smooth to me. I just whatever. Same thing with the new Call of Duty. Call of Duty, I do plan on picking it up, but I'm not gonna get into the beta. I'm not gonna buy it right now. Financially and all that stuff, but it's not worth getting because it doesn't even come out till October 25th, I believe, is when it
looks like they're trying to go back to their old school roots, which I can totally appreciate.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for, because for me watching and me checking out some of the other people playing it and whatnot, if it feels like Modern Warfare 4 from the original old Call of Duties, I'm 100% down. If it's anything like the newer ones, I've dabbled in those. I'm not really a fan of the newer Call of Duties.
Jetpacks and fucking wall jumps
and you know, and
throwing your knife across the entire map.
And especially since they're bringing back vehicles into it, they're making it a little bit bigger maps, and you know, I can totally appreciate a domination mode and all that stuff, back old school classic stuff. So I'm really thinking I'm going to get into that. I'm going to play some of that, and hopefully some of you guys out there, if you want to play, we can play when I come back from Disney, because right now everything's about saving money up. We're 29 days away from me heading out with the family for our first family vacation, so everything's geared towards that right now. So and then we'll be gone for a while.
Nice, that's awesome, dude.
I'm so excited, man. I just want to see Bobby's reaction first time on a plane.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
I'm GoProing it. I'm gonna sit there record it.
Dude, them ears popping.
Oh yeah, he's gonna freak out, or he's gonna have the best time ever. So either way, it'll be definitely a good photo moment.
Here's a little something. I don't know if you want to do this or whatever, if it's in the financial cards. The one thing my parents did when one time when we went to Disney and they surprised the fuck out of us, they had a limo come pick us up. And the limo actually missed our fucking driveway and went by. And I joked because they told us we had someone come in to pick us up, like a van or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, wouldn't it be funny if that limo was for us? And then it turns around, you know, it's like
that'd be really cool.
It was like super Gucci, right?
Yeah, because I was thinking about Ubering it. Because I don't want to leave a vehicle at the airport for 10 days.
No,
I don't do long-term parking and all that stuff.
No, it's not worth it.
But limo might be kind of cool.
May as well limo at that point.
Yeah, it's just, it can't be any more than a fucking Uber.
That's true. Won't be that much more anyway. we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Our flight's like at 8 in the morning.
That'd be
Right
fun.
right now, we got our fundraising going on my channel for the for my lightsaber build and the 2 droids because my kids want droids. So we're gonna get those.
Fuck that. Just screw all that. Get fast passes. That's
So it'll be good. We already had to reserve to do them. You know that it was like crazy. If you want to build droids and lightsaber, you got to like reserve to do that. That's like nuts, up to 60 days in advance. So we have to reserve for me to give you $200 for a lightsaber and $100 for each droid. It's like we'll just come on, we got to reserve it. And then if you don't show up, you owe money anyway. It's like, oh my god, it's so bad.
Are you staying at that hotel that's like being on a Star Wars?
It's not built yet, so it's not there yet. They're building it. It's going to be really cool though. So
nerdgasm. Oh my god.
To be quite honest, that'd probably be a solo trip of me just going. It'd be so selfish, but it's the amount of money it costs per night to stay in this hotel they're building.
You don't want your family seeing.
It's
the joy in
it
your
was
face
something like what did they say, like $700 or $800 a night to stay in this thing, but you like come in it and it's like you take a shuttle.
It's all worth it.
I know. You take a shuttle though, and they have no windows on anything. It's all like big, huge TV screens to make it feel like you're going into space. You're in space.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude.
And all that. I'm like,
come on, of course.
So, it's Disney, man. Yeah,
it's crazy. It's crazy, man. I don't know. We'll see what's up. We'll see what's up. I'm really excited about it. But anyway, not to get off tangent. But this weekend, more Borderlands 3. I know that's something we're going to be jamming. Hopefully grouping up with maybe Snake or Scorp or anybody else playing that. I want to get some more group play together. I might even be starting to look back at playing some PUBG at some point if Scorpion's in there because I might... I just want to play some group play. I am so fed up with not being able to play team games at all that I am just down to play anything team. I'm even looking at ArcAge is relaunching their new ArcAge Unchained, which I think kind of cheeses me off because it's like hot garbage, like what WoW Classic is, where they're reselling me the same game I already bought.
I don't know, man. I've been loving the fuck out of WoW.
I know, and I think I'll love the hell out of like ArcAge Unchained. But it's
you didn't have to rebuy WoW Classic. It's just a sub.
True.
Yeah, but this is $30 and you don't have to pay a subscription for Unchained. So, I mean, you know what I mean? It's going to work out to be the same thing if you play it for more than a month. But yeah, that's the thing for me. It's like no subs, all that stuff. I'm just like, I even put a tweet out about it. Is this a new trend where all the game companies are going to go back and say, hey, we're going to resell you the same game before we effed it all up? Like every company. I'll tell
you what, man, if they release KOTOR with Unreal Engine 4 or something, I'd buy the fuck out of it.
I know. I think a lot of us would, and I think the game developers now are seeing this, and I'm like worried. I'm like a little worried. It's like
central, man.
Oh man, yeah, mixed feelings, man, mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Are we really that short on?
Well, aren't you playing WoW Classic?
I am, and it's been somewhat painful, you know.
Yeah, but you got to embrace the suck, man. Come on.
Yeah, there's things I like about WoW Classic, and there's definitely things I agree with the direction that retail should go. You know, to bring back some of the things that WoW Classic was so enjoyable about, but it's something that's always bothered me about Blizzard in general is that you've got this absolute giant of the industry only interested in really remastering shit, and it's like you know, you're sitting on this brain trust, this talent bank of, you know, unmeasurable proportions.
You got to look at it from the game developers saying, man, this is money in the bank for them.
Warcraft 3, get the fuck out of here. What are you doing?
But this is money in the bank for them.
So want these people to spend the most creative years of their fucking careers remaking textures for Warcraft 3. Get the fuck out there, Blizzard. Do something that, you know, means something like what World of Warcraft. What, you know, anyway.
But I'm telling you though, that's the trend though. Now they're going to. It makes sense for the game developer because it's easy to remaster and remake something they already have. They don't have to reinvent the wheel. And us nostalgia holics will buy it.
Well, and I mean, really, they're not to blame. We only have ourselves to blame.
Absolutely. If nobody bought it, they wouldn't make it. I tell you that.
WoW Classic wasn't that big for WoW Vanilla. There's more hype and players.
Well, they've built a community over the last decade and a half, and it's like, hey, you know, it's like, oh, you can play the original.
So why would they not do it? Because there's so much hype around it. People say they want that.
They targeted people like me.
Yep.
People that loved the way it was and hated what the fuck it turned into.
Yep. And then they got a whole new audience of people that have never even seen what it originally was and only saw what it was then. So it's like,
I don't hate WoW Classic. In fact, I like a lot of things about it. But I just think that it just speaks to the you know.
You're afraid that that's what it's going to become, is just remasters, and
me too.
I appreciate that being afraid of, because that's
that's my worry.
Not what it becomes.
It's like, I hate myself for buying into this shit, because that's what it is. It's like, I hate myself, but I don't want the industry to do it.
KOTOR or any of those like super awesome classic games in Unreal Engine 4 or some shit. I'd buy the shit out of it.
Well, Tickles, it's just like when Call of Duty hit it big, right? When they first sold their, you know, $1 billion worth of game, every game tried to copy them. Every game company, it's like, oh, we have our version of Call of Duty. Oh, it's our version, blah, blah, blah. That's what I don't want to see with this. I don't want them to remake.
Right.
Like, your game was shit to begin with. You don't need to remake your game and try to resell it again. Good games that were good, I get it. And some of us will go back and play it because it's updated graphics, it's nostalgia, all that stuff. But if like every game developer develops their time, like, look for WoW, or work for Arcade, or work for this and all this stuff, then we're going to see a trend of the entire effing community of game developers go, we're all doing it now. Get ready.
I agree. That could be a fucking problem.
Yeah, there's already a shortage of really solid content. I think that's why, you know, to bring it full circle, why we're all refreshed by the ambition of Star Citizen. And there are other titles that are exciting too. I mean, Cyberpunk and Last of Us 2, that are, you know, developers that are known for being absolutely uncompromising with the quality of their work. You know, we've got Escape from Tarkov. I talk about a lot just because it's sort of in a parallel development, and actually, although they're not the same genre, they do share a lot of similarities in terms of the things that players like about them. And it's refreshing to see developers reaching like that, because God knows Blizzard ain't doing it. So that's refreshing, but you know, of course, it's difficult to execute that stuff, and there's only a few companies doing it.
If you want to remake a game with today's graphics that I would buy in a heartbeat, Sid Meier's Pirates. Make an updated version of that, like old RTS pirate game, over the top.
It's a good question.
I would do that.
What would be worth remaking that, like, you know, because WoW Classic apparently clearly is, but what else would be actually worth remaking?
I don't know. I mean, it's mostly focused on...
Not a sequel.
Yeah.
A
full just remake.
I don't even know if it's you know, because WoW Classic isn't really remade. It's got some remade stuff, and the rest of it is the same as it was.
So and it's the same as it was with. You can have it's off the modern engine.
That's right, like because character models are all lower.
And there's a lot of games
and stuff
that just live their life cycle. To be honest, because I mean, especially when you're talking to MMOs, they live their life cycle. They either weren't great to begin with or whatever. WoW's kind of in a unique area of itself, right? Like it was good, not from the day one start, but it was good in the beginning. And it kind of iterated into more simplicity, where a lot of games were like, they didn't find their footing right off, and then they got better, or they developed their way to where they did everything they could, and there you go. And I think everything else outside of the genre MMOs that was even halfway decent already has been remade. Like Homeworld series, anything like that, they've remade all those. It's just rare to see an actual full MMO do that and actually be successful.
Well, I tell you what, dude, it's fucking captivated me.
Yeah.
No, I do like... Yeah, I like it. And
Star Wars Galaxies would be the one.
Galaxies would be awesome.
That would be one. I would say that would be the ultimate right there. Would be Star Wars Galaxies. 100%.
Some games are actually having an interesting resurgence without any remake at all, which is like GTA. Although I guess you could say they've been remade because they're private servers with mods and stuff like that. But
yeah.
But you know, it's still sort of the same game, just
and GTA is kind of like doesn't really bridge the MMO gap. I mean, they have, like you said, private servers for the RP communities and stuff where you grow and you live in like these cities and stuff like that. But not like the scope of like what WoW is, where it's a full, MMO RPG universe type thing with story and all that, where they've just redone the exact same thing. So
you know what, you can almost say, wow, X game from my childhood would be awesome to be remade.
Well, that's what's funny, because these days a lot of retro stuff is made. In fact, it's a lot of platformers and top downs and stuff are 16-bit or 8-bit or whatever.
I'm always down for
pretty innovative.
If you're talking about RTSs, I'm always down for another Dune game too.
Here's one for you guys. Pick your favorite game that you would like to be remade. Only graphics, right? Gameplay's the same, just graphics update.
So
or something
graphic update, everything else is the same.
Yes.
That's a tough one.
That's because to me, that's what a remake is. Completely fucking same gameplay, graphic update.
I don't know why I keep thinking this. I don't know. I would have to really do an inventory of some of my favorite games over time, but all I can keep thinking of is one that made an impact when I was a kid, which was that Ninja Turtles game on Nintendo, original Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I loved the shit out of that game. And I mean, I was so deep into Ninja Turtle hype that it was awesome. You go down into the sewers and you jump up into the streets, and that would be a cool one to read.
I'd probably stick with Sid Meier's Pirates. I know they had a 2004 version, but I'd like to see I want to see super high-end graphics, like the sails, or you know what I mean, like something really good. But
like Unreal Engine 4, whatever, just like the latest.
The latest graphics, it could be the exact same gameplay, and I would be totally into it.
For me, it would have to be Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a real good one.
It's interesting though, because Zelda as a franchise has taken several different approaches over time, between Breath of the Wild and now like the one that just came out.
It's all cartoony and shit now.
It's very cartoony. So like they've changed the style of it several times, which could be considered a remake or a throwback in a way. But yeah, that's a popular one for sure.
What about you, Scorp?
I don't know. It's a great question. I don't know, because I don't think I didn't play many of those games. So I got into gaming like back in the old Sierra Online days with like King's Quest and Leisure Suit Larry and all that kind of stuff. Some of those would be kind of fun, although they're kind of like story based and you don't have very many options. But something like that in a more open worldy kind of thing with kind of a story behind it might be kind of cool. And then I think, obviously it's kind of what Star Citizen may end up getting us, maybe, or Squadron 42, but like a Wing Commander or a X-Wing or TIE Fighter, something like that.
Wing Commander's a good one.
Modern graphics would be amazing.
Yeah. Remake Wing Commander 3.
Oh yeah.
That would be really good. Really, really good. Leave the old video options with all the characters in it, but just remake the actual gameplay. 'Cause it's the one thing that was so hilarious about Wing Commander 3 was like you had those movie clips of like your decisions,
Yeah.
Which were like way up here graphically compared to like the game, which is like pixel art. Down here it's like this, and then it's like, oh, here he is, there's Hamill and all this stuff. I'm like, oh my god. And it's like, oh, but it's like the graphics.
Well, they were pre-rendered, so they could just store it.
On disc exactly. And I was like, that would have been so good to like have like modern day graphics on that game. So,
yeah.
Crazy
sauce.
Let me
pose just another one. This definitely wouldn't take top for me, but old school Pokemon Blue and Red on Game Boy.
Never played the Pokemon.
That's something I grew up with.
Yeah.
And if you were a Pokemon guy back in the day, right? I didn't keep up with Pokemon. I don't know how many. There's probably like fucking 10,000 by now, but the original 150 back in the day, but one that we dreamt of back in the 90s, right? Where you could actually like walk around and see the 3D buildings and shit. That'd be fucking cool. Again, nostalgia row for me.
Yeah. Spirits is Dark Age of Camelot. Dark Age of Camelot would have been a good one too.
Well, one's already being made. I think that I'm excited about that. It actually is being remade as The Witcher 4. They've confirmed that they're going to be working on that at some point. I mean, they just the iterations on the Witcher series just keep getting better and better and better. It's just
right.
Cool.
It's unique storyline stuff. All right, we're going to shift over to questions. We only have 3 of them for tonight, so it should be pretty easy. And mostly that's because the bot
hedge when he wins.
We've literally talked about everything.
Yep, we've done it all. Oregon Trail, perfect. As long as
person dysentery.
As long as we get first, I was going to say that as long as we have high-end graphic dysentery.
Oregon Trail BR.
Projectile shark.
Yeah.
That'll be a BR.
There you go. Oregon Trail BR. Battle Royale, that'd be hilarious. How's that work out?
Real time as well, so it's got to be slow as balls. Just for your journey.
The wall is your life, like closing in on you on the VR. It's like, oh. All right. First question's from Sid the Viking. He says, how do you think they will handle org spawning? Will they allow you to spawn on capital ships?
I'd hope so, right? They said something about med bays and stuff like that.
I assume it's tied to the med bay mechanic. The med bay's medical stuff, spawning stuff exists on medical ships. And if you have a big ship that has medical stuff on it, I would assume it allows you to respawn.
So are we talking about that? So that sounds more like respawning.
See, right? That's why I was going to make a distinction. Go ahead.
Yeah. So original spawn, like, I don't think you're going to be able to just spawn like anywhere in the verse, right?
Only after you die.
You're going to spawn wherever you are. As far as respawning goes, I think if you are in the vicinity of this capital ship, you might be able to spawn there.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, yeah, I think we're going to be very much tightly held to this idea of realism, right?
Yep.
To where you're going to be confined to some space in the verse, and the only way to get somewhere else is to actually physically go there.
Yeah, you have to travel. You have to fly there.
You have to have a ship at wherever you spawn.
Yeah.
Or someone else
hitch a ride or something, right?
Yeah. On a lot of capitals, that's not a big deal. If you die and you spawn there, they said you'll be able to order and have a ship delivered, but you're still going to have that whole aspect of you persist in the universe. You are going, a lot of people say, well, I'll just kill myself in fast travel. We did that in other games. This game, there's going to be penalties for that. So if you decide to die and lose
when persistence hits,
it's going to be bad.
The way they intend it to be, there's going to be a reckoning.
Yes.
They're either going to walk back their original intention with this game, or the snowflakes.
That'd be a hell of a walk back. That'd be more like a large marathon.
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be like, they're going to have to wait for shit to happen. They're going to have to, they're going to lose stuff permanently. People can't even handle a slightly longer commute because of actual geographic distance between systems and stuff like that. And they don't want ships to have different travel times.
Yeah. You imagine people crying.
Hover mode.
Yeah. People couldn't understand the hover mode or tolerate that. But right now people bitch about 10, 20-minute travel times. You imagine if you get somewhere and you died and your respawn or whatever is set to like a planet, like, I don't know, like 2 hours away.
2 systems.
Yeah. And you're just like, well, that's it. 2 hours of gameplay.
It'll
be brutal. It'll be brutal. But no, to clarify, because we do have what happens when you get boarded, least hostile medbay. What it's supposed to say specifically is because they brought this up when they brought up the Endeavor and everything, is you'll have options of like where to be rescued to or where to respawn at. And there'll be a cost involved with different ones because it's still inherently like you could be dead, but it's more like Princess Bride dead. You're not dead unless you've like been permadeath. Because there's like different tiers of this. You could be disabled, you could be ejected out, you could be all sorts of stuff. So you can still be retrieved. So it's supposed to be hard to die, but if you get disintegrated or your head cut off, you're pretty right dead. I'm hoping they're going to go with the fifth element.
Don't get your head cut off.
But I want them to do the fifth element respawn, Snake.
Let your head get cut off.
Because if you have the fifth element, it's like you could have just your hand, right? And they can regenerate you from like, rebuild your ass from whatever. So that's the idea. But whenever you lose your final life, you're permanently dead. New character time in this game.
Yeah, and they can walk their way into it a bit. It's not like, again, it's we would like them to put sort of stopgap like interactions, just like the way we get fuel and stuff right now.
Yeah,
that type of thing can happen with all mechanics as far as I'm concerned. I don't need to literally see the animation of things happening with everything in the game.
Yeah,
you will see it.
You'll see it all though. We'll take the time.
Yeah, but you think that to be like so literal. I just mean like, if you have to get a ship delivered, it doesn't have to, you know what I mean? Like it can just be a thing you pay and there's a time and it just shows up. Whatever. It doesn't have to be.
But if they go with the fifth element respawn aspects in the game, literally your ship could blow up. They could recover some DNA from you and then regenerate you, and that'd be okay. In my book. But I don't think they'll do it. I don't think they will either. I think it's going to be. They're going to have to change their scope and find some happy balance, I think, is what will end up happening.
I hope they keep a fun meter at close at hand when they start doing all this stuff, though, because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
They need to keep the required travel. Like you have to move around. You can't fast travel something magical in the game, but they need to make it to where you can have fun and be risky, but not so risky that it's just like you're eating it all the time instantly, and it's just not,
Yeah. So this is where a lot of game developers probably should be paying close attention to WoW Classic, because the reason WoW Classic is a thing and people were desperate for it is because parity and scarcity and these things that are sort of hard bitter pills to swallow, because not everybody can be not everybody can be first place, otherwise there's no first place.
Correct.
These mechanics have to be,
it's the only thing you lose in the game is your life. Like you technically don't lose your ship in this game if you have insurance. You lose time to get your ship back.
Well, I'm just saying, like, even in more pedestrian mechanics like travel, like in WoW Classic, you put so many fucking miles on your feet.
Oh boy, I've been doing
when you
running.
Get a mount, you're like, I'm epic. This is the best. I've arrived.
And I hope that's the same feeling in Star Citizen for people that don't have a lot of spaceships or a spaceship. I want it to be like, I'm working on a crew. I can crew on this ship and I can make money crewing on this ship. And then I buy my own spaceship and then I break off and do my own, you know what I mean? That element, because the way the gameplay is right now and the way they're developing the game is non-existent. But if they get to that point sometime, I think that would be epic for be a new player coming to the game, $45 or whatever. You're playing with your buddies and stuff like that. You build up, or you get on an NPC ship. I hope you can work on NPC ships and then go do your job and you make some money. Well, boom, buy your own ship. That'd be crazy. I would crew on so many NPC ships, Tickles. It'd be cool. Imagine if you could sign on to like hauler ships or that, dude, that'd be so cool. Just like, hey man, I just want to play as a gunner today. I'm gonna sign on my character. We're gonna see if we can find a contract. I'm just gonna be a gunner on a UE frigate or something and just do my thing, go to the mess hall. That'd be awesome. I think it'd be great.
That's a good point. Although to be fair, I think that life is supposed to be your life in Squadron 42, and so all those sort of pay your dues, be a part of something bigger than you happens leading up to the PU, and then when you enter the PU, you're technically a fairly rare individual that's got means and all that type of stuff. But
but wouldn't that be cool?
An option?
Because then the people that don't buy Squadron 42, they have those options for that mini gameplay, and they're like, it's just like a job, like a charter. You sign on that ship, you do your thing, and that's part of your deal. You build up rep with them, you do all this stuff. That's a whole single player experience within the MMO where you can still experience that and not have to have a million people or a bunch of friends. I think it is going to be good.
I think it's good as an option, but I think like some people are asking, like, how long would you have to spend on a planet before you could afford a ship to get off the planet? I think the idea, at least in terms of the timeline of your character, is that by the time you enter the PU, those are poor people problems. Those aren't you you're a veteran, you're somebody who's gotten there through that.
As long as you've made that choice and you've either bought the game package or whatever, yeah, you should have those options. But
as a choice, I do think those are awesome first like single player like possibilities, and I think it would be super fun to have those as choices.
Yep, I think so. More to even on the same point there. Next question was, why do we need Squadron 42 at all? It was pretty easy to answer. Why not just concentrate on the PU? Well, number one reason is because a lot of people have bought it. So with so many people that have bought Squadron 42, you would have to refund an incredible amount of money if you decided, hey, we're not doing Squadron 42. And secondly, they've invested a huge amount of money, time, and resources into Squadron 42 already. So that ship has pretty much sailed at this point.
Well, I think more importantly, though, Squadron 42 is potentially, I mean, we all hope that the PU becomes this second coming of WoW, so, redefines the entire genre, maybe the entire video game industry. The hope is there for it to be that kind of impactful game, but the reality is much more likely is that Squadron 42 will accomplish things and bring more people to the video game industry than ever has than any game ever has before. And the reason I say that is, even now, today, there are more A-list actors that have not signed up, but literally shot their scenes in Squadron 42 than have ever been in any video game ever before. And I'm not talking about like some actor you don't know who the fuck they are. I'm talking about like, obviously Mark Hamill. You've got
Gary Oldman,
actors on Firefly.
It's like I mean, we're talking about like A-list actors, right? So that's unique in the video game industry. We've started to see a lot of really known actors solo video games, but we've never seen an ensemble like this ever before in a video game. And
Gary fucking Oldman.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the list goes on. And so what that's going to do is not just be an awesome experience for us that love video games, but that's going to open people's eyes and bring in people that don't normally play video games and be like, really, what actors are in this?
Well, and not only that, people have to remember, especially people that weren't originally following the project or back the project, that this game was originally kickstarted on Squadron 42.
Yes,
that's what this game was. There was no MMO that came after.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think the reality is I have an extremely high degree of confidence that Squadron 42 will accomplish unheard of things. It already has, technically speaking, but I think it's going to be a pristine product. It's going to be great. I don't know for sure if they're going to hit their targets with the PU, with the MMO side of things. I certainly hope they do. But that's, I mean, people kind of talk about Squadron 42 like it's a side piece, but the reality is that thing is like the tip of the spear. That is a game that will change the industry.
That is the game that will put anything Star Citizen on the map too, because those actors, because of that stuff. You will see Squadron 42 first, and that is what a lot of the selling point to the public originally was, and to the gaming industry and everybody else. The acceptance will come through Squadron 42. The MMO is still a huge question mark to people outside the Star Citizen community. It's, but Squadron 42, you don't see a lot of people even outside criticize Squadron 42 or question it. And it's because it's a lot, it's road to fruition is a lot clearer on how that's going to happen than what's going to happen with the MMO.
And being a single player game, even with the kind of really cool sandboxy way that they're doing it, right, where you will literally be able to just walk off right in the middle of a cutscene. You can say, yeah, whatever, old man, I'm going over here instead, and that'll kind of work, or it'll completely work, which is kind of cool. Yeah, but outside of that, it's right, single player, which means that there are a lot more constraints in place on the environment that they have to make work, so it makes the job easier for them on the development side. The PU is a whole different story, right? So Squadron 42, I agree. There's every reason they should succeed with that 100%. And as long as the story is compelling and not corny and, all that stuff works out, it should be a great success. And then, hopefully it'll translate into the PU, or lots of things will translate to the PU. But I think that is the main reason why we needed it. Was the key. It was the first thing that was promised. Also, I like the idea of service guarantee citizenship, right? So you serve in the UEE and Squadron 42, and then you're a citizen in the PU, and you've got that whole kind of story arc that's included there. So I think it's kind of a cool idea.
I also would go as far as to say I'm not really convinced that the industry or that people want MMOs anymore. Now, I know it sounds crazy. I would say we'd all say we want an MMO, but there's been a lot of killer MMOs that have failed, and the reason is people just, they say they want them, but even when they're well executed, like Guild Wars 2 or WildStar, or these were like impeccable MMOs. They were really well done, and I have my own theories just from like mechanics why they were less popular, but I think at the heart of it, at the end of the day, I don't know if that's really where what people want as a video game, and I think you could reassert it as what people want. Like obviously WoW Classic is what people want.
What people want is impossible, because what they want is they want a game that they can pay a one-time fee for and it be sustainable forever, and they don't pay a subscription fee. And I think that's the premise behind it, because subscription fees in my mind work better, at least westernized culture, than cash shops, pay to win, and all that stuff. And people don't want to pay a subscription fee to support the type of game. So most dev companies now, most game development companies look at it like this has a shelf life. Every game they produce is built on a shelf life type ratio, then a persistent, we're going to try to make this thing go on until the wheels fall off. And they don't look at it like that. They don't look at flagship games like they did in 2003, 2004, like they did WoW. WoW was something like, we're going to build upon this. That was the metric then. We're going to build upon this and let it grow and do what we want. Now it's like, oh, Guild Wars 2. Then eventually Guild Wars 3. Then again, Guild Wars 4. They look at like, what's the next MMO? These have a 3 to 4 year shelf life tops, and then we're going to move on. And unfortunately, when they build them like that, it's unsustainable to begin with.
But you get Destinies where you have this bizarre situation where like the sequel is a shadow of the first one, and you're like, let's just go back to playing the first one. And even WoW succumbs to that sometimes, because people obviously are more excited about.
We just went back to playing the first one.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great point, that a game can either evolve, or they can try to make a new version of it that actually just doesn't get it done, and that's the risk to the game maker. I think that there's room for MMOs. People are saying correctly that obviously WoW Classic is very popular on both commercially, arguably commercially, but both commercially and from a Twitch metric and all these other things, millions of people coming back to WoW to play it and stuff like that. I agree with all that. I'm just saying there's also been a lot of attempts at making a fresh new MMO, and they did a great job. Objectively or subjectively, they killed it, but it couldn't sustain itself.
How many times have you heard the term, quote, WoW killer? This is going to be a WoW killer.
Well, it's because
WoW go extinct.
It's because they set a bar so high that that's the achievable goal, right? When you're on top, as far as your genre in MMO, like WoW is, as far as population, popularity, all that stuff, everybody's gunning for it. Nobody's been able to achieve it because they're approaching it wrong, because they don't know how to build a game and have it sustain. The thing is, you're dealing with a deep-rooted culture in WoW that was established in 2003, and you can build whatever you want now, but if you try to make it just like that and not be innovative at all, you can't build 20 years worth of support into a game. You know what I mean? You just can't do it.
You could take that approach and apply it to Twitch or YouTube. I could take and do. I could be a snake eater. I can watch your stream and I could be you. Maybe not the voice, but I could be you. I could do exactly what
There's voice mod. You can do it, man.
I could be a Matachi. I could do exactly what Matachi does. You know, I could follow the exact same things. But you know what? Someone's already done it, and they've done it really well and successfully. Same thing with your favorite YouTuber. The thing with making new content, whether it's an MMO, a Twitch stream, a YouTube channel, you can take techniques from someone, you could take techniques from a game, you know, but you can't literally take and make the same thing and expect to be successful because someone's already done it and they're very good at it.
But we're talking about a genre. I mean? We're talking about a genre, and I think that WildStar and Guild Wars 2, to name a couple that I liked, the overall feel of and thought were well executed, you know, mechanically, weren't copies. They were in the MMO genre, but they were not
right.
Copies.
I guess the genre is a little different, but
WildStar were literally people that made WoW that went to a different MMO and made it the version they wanted to make. But I think that it might be deeper than that. It's kind of like the Beatles. Yes, Chad, I did just navigate WoW to the Beatles, but
I can appreciate it.
You can make other good rock music, but if you're trying to make the next Beatles, you're not gonna. You're just never going to, and no one will ever sustain like the Beatles music because they're just not the first.
That was the Monkees were America's response to the Beatles. The Monkees, they were all right.
Oasis was Britain's
not the fucking Beatles.
And I see people in chat talking about like Final Fantasy 14 in comparison to WoW and all this stuff. Final Fantasy 14, I've never been a big fan of Final Fantasy guy, so I'm not the perfect person to speak on this, but it's always been more popular with a certain genre of people in the anime field and stuff like that, but it has never had more subscribers than World of Warcraft statistically.
And
so
I don't know if anything ever has.
Nothing has. And that's why people can say this game's better than that game, but what it matters to game development and game developers is the fact, where's the money going? So I think Final Fantasy 14 is great, and it's people still really enjoy it and all that stuff. And I think the thing with WoW is there's people that are like financially more dedicated into continuing to support WoW in that regard. And I don't think anything else has like come close yet.
I don't know that that's, I guess I am only speaking for myself, but I have hundreds of dollars in WoW over the tenure of its however many years, right? In server transfers, in I know hundreds seems low when we're in the SC crowd, but and God, it might be a little over 1,000. I have no idea, but between server transferring like 5 or 6 tunes at a time, transferring between Horde and Alliance over, you know, one fucking patch, you know, one whatever X pack we're playing Horde, one X pack we're playing Alliance,
leveling services. It's
dude, for real. I paid for back in the day, paid for gold to pay for my fucking epic flying mount. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
but that does not keep me playing because that was way back when on a different. That's nothing to do with right now. And I abandoned retail, but Classic has me by the fucking balls, man. I fucking love it.
But Classic is the best example of what I'm talking about, which is even Blizzard's own successor to WoW, which is WoW Retail
itself,
is not even remotely as successful as the original being. So like maybe there just isn't another MMO out there. There's not.
I don't even think WoW 2 would happen unless they took WoW 2 and they said, you know what, we're going to take everything we learned from Classic and BC and the entirety of retail, and we're going to learn from that, and we're going to take it back in time. We're going to take 1,000 fucking moves off your bar. We're going to take and make things hard again, so to speak.
I'd like to see what they came up with
that to dethrone WoW.
I say, why dethrone yourself if you're winning already? You know what I mean? I'd be like, why not make a space MMO if you're over there?
Well,
or do something different. See what happens.
I've already spoken my piece on that and where humanity would be if that was humanity's mentality in general. But yeah, I mean, it ultimately is true. Like I said, this is a tremendously fascinating experiment that's happening right now with WoW Classic because it's this counterintuitive thing. You would think that a retro thing would be just, you know, semi-successful. It would be a flash in the pan, but like it's accomplished numbers that the original didn't accomplish. It's accomplished popularity that its current state-of-the-art new content platform it hasn't accomplished. I mean, explain it. I mean, it's not just because we all loved it and want to go back in time. There's a lot of new players that have never played vanilla before.
I'm not sure it's a quantifiable thing.
Yeah,
it's the Beatles, man. You just there's not another one. There isn't.
Yep. All right, we got 2 more questions, then we can let Snake go to bed since we drug him up all this time. Next question is from Ideatron. Says, what actions do you believe you could take that could actually have an impact on the developmental cycle of this game?
Wait, so what's the question again?
Well, basically, like, what actions could you take that would impact the development of this game? Like, that would actually have an impact. That's a very big question.
Yeah, that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Yeah, I don't think I have a popular answer.
Yeah,
I have an answer, but it's not popular.
Well,
you would have to remove. Well, you would have to. How do I say this without sounding like a total douche canoe? Because it is the project, but you'd have to take CR out of the project.
Well, that would certainly,
does that make sense?
I think objectively that for better or worse would definitely have an impact. You're absolutely right about that.
I don't want to take him out of the project because he is the project, right? He is the man. He is the thing. But
difficult. It's difficult.
Feel like there's so many things that he does that is like, dude, we're not a finished game. We're not this. We're not a live environment. We're not a let's not implement these other 27 things. But if we didn't have him, we would have that base ass game that we saw in 2014, and that's it.
And it would have been released quickly.
Yes. Right. Yeah. It would have been, it would have been
forgotten, and it would have been garbage, and we would have all moved on, and we wouldn't be talking about it, and wouldn't be
exactly. So that's my answer. What can I do to impact it? That would be something that would impact it. Is it a positive thing? I don't know.
But as far as what I can do, I'm going to argue that there's really not much I can do more than I'm already doing. Right? I mean, already actively involved, playing it all the time. Voicing my concerns, backing the game, submitting issues to the issue council whenever.
No, but they were talking about making change to game development. I think as far as game development cycle, I don't think CR can be the final decision maker. If you want to really impact the way it's going different, that's the thing. I don't think I'd ever see him removed from the project, but I think Aaron needs to make the final calls.
I wouldn't want him removed from the project.
No.
Yeah, it's difficult because only in hindsight do you realize how challenging somebody makes the company, but also the vision that they undeniably provide. Apple's a good comparison because I personally think that Apple is not what it used to be, and you can see, and Steve now well documented for being extremely difficult to work with, unyielding in things that he expects and wants out of things, and that's what created the revolutions that they did. But at the time, probably seemed like this guy might be fucking everything up because he's unwilling to bend on any of this shit. So it's but without him there, it's undeniable how much less innovative the place is. So it's a company's biggest strength can also be its biggest challenge to overcome at the same time.
I think you need somebody like, the reason I say Aaron is because I think Chris is a great person. I love the fact that this is his vision and all that. But I think sometimes in order to implement your vision, like if I have a dream of a space game, I don't think I'm the best person to make the calls on everything to do it. I think maybe I need to like tell people the vision, trust it in somebody to make that vision, and then make it happen. And I think some of the decisions And the hard line of him wanting to stick to certain things is great, but other things I think it's detrimental to the game, and it's more based on his perspective of what it is. And it's because it's his baby. It's the same reason sometimes the best coaches in the Olympics aren't the parents of the person performing the Olympics. You know what I mean? Well, right. Because that's the thing. It's nothing against CR, but if you have my son up there performing, I'm going to say, well, yeah, he could do it. He's the best ever. But sometimes you need an outside person that's still going to want to win, still want to support and all that stuff, but make those calls. And and that's just the outside perspective I'm getting from here.
So read the question again real quick.
The correct question is, what actions could you do? What actions do you believe you could take that would actually affect the development cycle of this game? And that's
as streamers,
us as people, or if I was head honcho for a day.
Well, right? They don't specify. I'm thinking head honcho for the day is the way I read the question, not like.
I think somewhere between the crazy like kick CR off the project, or something a little bit more like ground level. I think there's two things that they are probably trying to do, but if they got better at it, would have drastic impacts on the game. One is grow, hire more people, and the other is get even more experience in there, because there's things that have been invented many times over. FPS is not a new fucking thing. It's just not. And it should be. It may take time to build it, but it shouldn't be a mystery on how to fucking build it, because it's been built over and over again every fucking year for the last 2 decades. So I think that getting experience and more manpower are both things that they're attempting to probably do within their ability to do so. I think that more of it would help.
All right, so that is my thing. I'm not saying it's the right answer, but if you want to get the game done faster, that's the answer.
Yeah.
Right. So
if that's your goal,
I think CR needs a guy like the St. Louis Rams have a dude that tells the coach to stay the fuck off the field. That's his only job. He stays by the coach and pulls him away from the fucking field when he's there, right? That's what CR needs. He needs someone who goes, dude, what the fuck are you doing right now? You're prolonging the life of this fucking development by 2 years right now by saying this. Let's pull you back a little bit. Let's rethink it. Just rethink it for a second. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have that eventually, but does it need to happen right this fucking second? And again, I can see the other side of it of, well, if we didn't have him in charge, then we'd have this boring ass shit that would have been forgotten about. So that's my answer to the question.
Yep.
What could we do right now? That's what we could do.
Yep.
And that's it. I don't want it to happen, but that's what we could do.
That's what you could do. That's going to have the biggest impact in development right now, because everything else is like, well, hire more people. Well, they say they're trying to. Well, we'll change the scope to doing this stuff, Well, they're trying to do that too. I mean, there is no, and without us knowing how the sausage is made, how can we really assess that? And I think that's intentional in that regard. They're not going to share every single way they do the process of development. And because they don't have that, there's no way for us to answer. We could always sit here and armchair quarterback and say, well, they could take this out, do that. Well, then there'd be 4,000 people say, I like that shit. I don't want you to take that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's just argumentative at that point.
Agree.
That's the way it goes. All right, last question. And then Scorpion go to bed. Vipeezy asks, he says, do you think larger ships will have modularity like the Caterpillar? Some do.
Maybe.
Yeah. Some do. Some don't. So
I hope not.
Not every ship is modular. So
yeah, like in general, I mean, no, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, we haven't heard of any big ships, certainly not like capital size ships that are modular in any way. I mean, they're pretty well bespoke, right?
The Endeavor is the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, the Endeavor is pretty modular.
Most modular ship I think they have is the Endeavor.
Yeah, 100%. So. The Carrack is modular. The Caterpillar's modular. Yeah, the Endeavor's the pretty much the big one. All the other ones are pretty bespoke. Will there be some in the future? Probably.
I want to turn my Idris into an ice cream truck.
Well, then you should be able to do that, man.
Where's my ice cream vendor?
I'm waiting for Carrot Tacos. I'm gonna have a Carrot Taco truck.
Oh,
yeah.
Just because somebody asked, yes, the Carrot is modular. It has like
it's mildly modular
modules that are on the bottom. One is certainly going to be medical. One's going to be maybe cargo. One's going to be something else. But they are like attachable pods that had been discussed that they were going to be modular.
Yes.
Yeah. So like there's a couple different terms right now. There's modular and there's variant. So variants are, I think, generally okay because like in fighter jets, for example, you'll have variants that sort of are same frame but slightly geared toward a different job, and so that's fine, I think. But modularity is like a spice. You need to have it be very rarely used because modularity in and of itself should be the thing that a ship offers. But if all the ships are modular, then none of the ships are specialized in anything. And so I think that big ships are even more dangerous to do that with, because you make a huge ship modular, you get everything in bigger quantities and stuff. Now everybody just wants the big ship that has a pod for this, a pod for that, and a pod for this. You know, like
exactly. I mean,
if everyone has a bachelor's degree, nobody has a bachelor's degree.
There you go.
Right, exactly.
And the thing about the Caterpillar specifically is the fact the modularity in it is going to make it more adaptive for other things. You can have cargo or this, because on paper, if you look at the money involved, if you're just trying to go cargo ship and the Caterpillar wasn't modular, why wouldn't you get a whole series over a Caterpillar? Wouldn't even make sense, right? You know. But the fact you have that adaptability on that one specific ship gives it more power within that class. It could do some cargo, or it can do this or that. But you don't, again, like Snake saying, you don't want to do every ship that way, because then it's like, I just buy one ship and does it all, man.
Right. Well, and the other thing we don't know yet is that there's definitely going to be a penalty involved in this modularity, right? Because it's not going to be something where you're going to be like, oh, let me open my Mobi-Glass and change my ship around to be this configuration now, and then I'm good to go. I mean, they're not going to allow that, right? You're going to have to go back to wherever your modules are stored, go and get that new module installed or change things around, and then head back out somehow. So it's not like...
It's definitely you'll have to moor your ship for. Like, you wouldn't go change...
Yes.
You aren't going to reassemble a saucer section on the Enterprise out of a ship dock. You know, it's like, it's good. It's like, no, we need to build a new one.
Right. So it's not... So there's definitely going to be some...
I would hope so. I mean, hopefully it's not... That would be so, like, breaking immersion if you just go click. It's like, I'm just changing out the farm pods for the huge satellite. Click, click. You know, look at that.
It's almost the same with weapons. Weapons shouldn't be immediately fucking swappable eventually.
Right. Yeah,
you should. Well, they aren't really, right? You can't swap them out while you're flying around. So.
Well, no, but even just on dry dock, right? So you're just sitting there fucking chilling, and you're like,
take time. This is where these repair ships and stuff come in play. Like if you're in a small fighter like a Hornet, and you came up to what's the repair ship I'm thinking of with the telescoping arms?
Crucible.
The Crucible.
Yeah,
you should be able to come up to that, and they should be able to reconfigure you like a portable garage.
Have the inventory.
Correct. Right? Like or yes, if you had the inventory stored on the Crucible already, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's my hope, because that is half the reason. Like same thing, you land on a Bengal carrier or something, you're like, all right, man, we need to refit the missiles out. We're going ship to ship or ship to ground or whatever. You're gonna put a new ordnance package on that thing, so that way you have the right tools for the right job. That's what I want. I don't want I flipped out from my bag of holding some amazing, weapons and just flipped them on my ship.
FYI, I have a question to add to questions.
Go for it.
I'm not going to do
then
it.
You're the one. Then you're the last questions now on.
All
so
right.
you're directly preventing Sc0rp from going to bed. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, good. Good. He deserves to stay awake. He's done anything this last week or two. So, what do you guys think the new ship's going to be? And I have my reservations, so I'm going to go last. The new ship from RSI, what's going to be?
I don't know. I've read some leaky stuff that claims it's going to be some interdictor ship.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like
the Mantis or whatever. Yeah.
You ready for my answer? it's going to be over $300. So I'll tell you that because it doesn't matter how big it is. It's going to be over $300.
True.
Because it depends on gameplay, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Snake.
I don't know. It sure looks an awful lot like a Connie, but I cannot imagine them offering a Connie. Like, it would be the most lackluster thing ever. Like, it'd be like,
if it was an interdicting Connie.
It's a Connie that does a couple different things. I mean, I guess they did well with the Phoenix, but it would have to be significantly different than the other Connies like the Phoenix. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel.
All right, so here's my idea. So you got this ship. Could you pull up a picture of it here real quick?
Yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. Unless somebody's got a link.
It's I mean, it's right on their front page, damn near. So
I get it.
You got this ship, and let's say you have, I don't know, a Constellation and an Apollo and their brother and sister. Well, it looks like they got together and had an offspring. And this 5-fingered, and 12-toed son of a bitch shows up to the party. And this is what you have. Whenever you find the picture, I mean, it's like, that's basically what it looks like. It looks like an Apollo and a Connie had a baby, and they were a little too closely related. And that's what comes up. And it's I'm calling it right now. I don't think this is actually going to be it, but it'd be fucking hilarious if they just blew off the Taurus, and it's a hauling ship after all.
Now, it looks like it has
just blow it off.
It looks like it has almost like engine nacelles on the back, kind of like the Vanguard, because there's some gaps in the picture. And the front cockpit part looks a lot like the Carrack.
The front part is very Carrack/Connie like.
Carrack/Connie like, yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's definitely a smaller ship.
It looks like a small Connie/Apollo merger thing.
It could be
Connie Vanguard.
It could be the medical ships.
Valkyrie combo.
I was gonna say heavy fighter, maybe.
It does have at least 2 big guns and
a couple small up front.
You know, it'd be hilarious, Tickles, is if this is a boarding ship. It's like we have no boarding gameplay, not on the roadmap anywhere. It's a boarding ship. It'll latch on and it'll board.
Okay, well, let's say that it's an interdiction ship. We have no interdiction gameplay whatsoever, so.
Oh, sure we do. You'll just press E or something and stuff will stop.
Yeah, and the 50s string ships will come along and interdict you, and it'll be fun.
But the reason they've also, there's some context going on here too. I mean, there's a reason that they put it in there with departing whatever. So I think it's probably some sort of fighter or something, because
well, it's stalking forever a caterpillar.
Yeah. Why would it be stalking a caterpillar if not to?
I don't know.
And people keep saying, why would you board a pirate ship? Why would you do it? That's not necessarily a pirate ship. Just because it's got a skin on it and stuff, it's a caterpillar. It's a cargo hauler.
Yeah, I think that's the regular caterpillar skin, isn't it?
Well, the skin doesn't make it different what it is.
Like a pirate skin, but I mean, you could. I mean, they chose that specific caterpillar with that skin too. So there's reason. There's some clues in there. So if it was a caterpillar,
and I don't think it's stalking it. I see you guys saying that. I don't think it's stalking it in quantum. I don't think you're in quantum seeing asteroids. Well,
maybe he's trying to.
I think it's showing its motion.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it kind of looks like it's in quantum potentially, but I agree. Then the closest to the asteroids seems to make that not realistic.
No. I think that's just showing motion. This is a concept drawing. This is an in-game screenshot.
This is barely I mean, this is painting interpretation at this point. But we could do this. This is an interesting idea because it's in quantum. Maybe it's an interdiction ship that pulls people out of quantum.
Well, that's
that would be an
interdiction ship. Would be.
That's not necessarily true. We've gone on discussions at length about what interdiction means and what the ability to pull people out of quantum would mean. Maybe it's just purely
if you go, I still stick to the Dan Truffin definition of interdiction role in the game, which is supposed to prevent people from jumping out and pull people out of quantum.
Interdiction is just like interception essentially, but the in a game like this, being able to pull out of quantum is a pretty strong ability. But I would say at the very least, the first player usable jamming ship.
Well, what if your pull-out game is really strong?
then you better buy this ship so that way you can keep on top of your game.
Then you should be an interdictor.
And you don't have much to worry about.
That's right.
Good.
Yeah, we might have to, we'll put up a poll about this to chat, and we'll say, we'll put up some options on there. What do you guys think the top option should be? Interdiction ship?
It's going to be
boarding ship.
My funniness aside, I think it's going to be the ugliest fucking heavy fighter we will see. Fighter.
Okay.
So our options,
So our options on our poll when we put it up here will be heavy fighter, boarding ship, and interdictor. So far, I've got another one. Is that it?
I think that covers
Blackbird. The definition of interdiction in the dictionary is literally the action of intercepting and preventing movement of. So it is pretty similar to the same thing, but it's obviously got some. It's used as military parlance, and so the difference between the term interception and interdiction, if you're a fighter pilot on a Navy aircraft carrier versus if you're a police officer on the street, could be very different. You're right in that regard, but
it's got a double EMP. I think the EMP mechanic in the game is so booty right now. I'm just not into the EMP thing.
I loved EMP back in the day, it
was cool when it was new.
I actually was of the opinion that EMP was the best balanced PvP mechanic in the game during the JT days, because you had very differing flavors that you could choose out of the EMP, and they both had risk versus reward, or all three of them had risk versus reward for choosing them. And they also changed the battlefield quite a lot. Like if somebody brought an EMP, not only did it change the way your group of players needed to start flying, but it also depended on what kind of EMP they brought. In terms of what you would start to bring to the fight.
Maybe that should be our fourth option: heavy fighter, interdictor, boarding, or EMP ship.
Double EMP-ness.
Double EMP. Most EMP-ness. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing I got.
I think those are good options.
I think those are the options. That'll be the poll. We'll put it up on Twitter. Make sure you're following along on Twitter for all that, guys. Again, thank you everybody for being here. Scorpion, thank you for staying up so late. I know it's outside your whole realm of existence.
A little bit right now, yeah.
Not as bad as like Moist Noodle, but you're number 2 in the whole, like, this is way out of your TZ normally. So I totally
who does number 2 work for?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Scorp, I got to get with you for setting up a background, because I've been the fucking green demon this whole time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll send you the stuff tomorrow on how to do it.
It's
pretty straightforward.
It's such a torment too, because it's like it seems like Streamlabs, XSplit has good issues with like good standing with green screens and all that stuff, but it seems like OBS, or at least Slobs, is better at the camera captures. Have been really good. The audio levels have been really good, regardless of what chat says, like, because nobody's clipping mic on all things.
What fuck chat?
Well, chat's whatever. But it's like, I notice they'll say Scorpion's low, but it's like if he was any louder, he'd be clipping the mic on mine. So I don't know. So
yeah, I can definitely get louder if I need to.
Well, that's funny, Mitt. I actually went and listened at the very beginning. You sound wonderful on the stream.
I know on Discord, I'm booty.
You sound like a horrible wretch.
I know. And again, the stream's all that matters in the end.
Exactly.
But either
that's
way,
why I didn't say anything.
Yeah, I know.
Because I went and listened just to make sure.
I think it's with GoXLR doesn't like to share the audio. So it's like something's going to suffer. It's either going to be the stream or Discord. And if it's Discord, who cares?
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I'll just torture you guys for 3 hours next time again.
Love it.
There it is. All right. But with that, guys, we're going to get out of here. Thank you again so much for everybody being here. Make sure you follow all those fine fellas. Make sure you follow everybody. Definitely, again, check out Snake Eater's YouTube. Did you get over your 1,000? I'm just curious now before we go.
Yeah, where is that? Link it again real quick, because I totally missed the link.
I'm already subscribed to him, so it's whatever I can do.
I'll refresh here while I link.
So make sure you get that.
Not quite. Not yet. We're 5 away. 5 away.
So you got one guy at all that. Come on, people.
All right, guys, we can do this.
Do it.
Hit the button.
Hit up Snake Eater's YouTube. He linked it there for you. Just click it, hit subscribe, get him over 1K.
Clicky,
just make it happen. And meanwhile, we're gonna get out of here. So have a good night, guys. Thank you so much all for being here. We'll see you later. And tune in next Friday at 9 p.m. ish. Well, we're getting closer to 9 p.m. all the time.
You should damn near be there, right? What do you get? You're at 1K. I show you at 1K.
Congratulations, he got it. There it is.
Congrats, man.
So now I can say it was worth him coming on the show. There you go.
I don't have my usual air horn effects on my thing, so I got to do it myself. Thank you guys. That's awesome. We're gonna be doing a give as well because of that, you guys. So assuming that those all don't dry up by tomorrow morning, we're
congratulations.
Yeah, there's no reason to unsubscribe from YouTube. Come on.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, so we'll see you guys later. Thanks again for being here, and make sure to tune all these guys this weekend. Peace out, guys.
Space Bros.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.